Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the podcast. I'm your co-host today, but I'm here with my co-hosts Crimson, MK Tom Brady, Rio, and Zyphox. Hello, everybody.
What's up,
What's
all?
up?
It's good to see everybody again. We apologize for the slight delay for the podcast, but we're back. It's good to be back. The first topic that I would like to discuss is the We Play tournament. So, as of this recording, today we had Tekken. Last week we had Soul Calibur, and the week before that we had obviously MK11. I would just briefly like to get everybody's thoughts, what you liked about the tournament, even some stuff maybe you disliked. Let's start with it with Crimson Shadow, please.
All right. Well, I think I probably don't even have to say it, right? Like this has been one of the most exciting events that we've had in quite some time. Part of that is because like We Play really puts a lot into their presentation. They really give MK the stage that it deserves. But I think the other part is we had not seen a top level offline tournament in almost since last summer, I guess. Even the last We Played, right? It was great. They did a great event, but a lot of the people that they invited were more like, say, like mid-level to better mid-level players. So there was a question about like what would happen if we got 16 just killers and brought them all out. And that's what they did. And even some people who weren't thought to be killers turned out to be, and that was really interesting. So, obvious points. Number one, Azerbaijan, right? Like, I don't think there was one person coming into the tournament, other than maybe his own scene, that would have predicted that he would do what he did. And the way that he was playing, it was not only that he was upsetting people, or not only that he was playing really well, but he was doing it with Sonya, who's the character that most people have written off, right? You don't hear much talk about Sonya outside of, oh, she needs help, she needs buffs, she needs whatever, until all of a sudden 2 weeks back to back, Big Daddy G runs like a master level player's gauntlet to win a tournament, and the next weekend Azerbaijan is giving people trouble even offline at We Play. So I think it goes without saying that run was huge for him. It was also huge for their community. He said that he and Arn Kratos were training together. They were practicing together. I guess after they got to the tournament to get ready for everyone else, and he took the tournament on short notice. So I think absolutely huge performance for him. And with those 2 weeks back to back, I think anyone who calls Sonya unviable might have to question it. How good is she? We don't know. She's probably not, top tier, but clearly she's good enough to compete even when the top players are there. Second thing was we now know that no one is blocking Sub Zero's overhead, right? There's been this thing about, when the sub players come offline, everyone's going to react to the overhead. Even players at the highest level that we have still are not reacting to the overhead. So, we can rest of these. It's still a 50-50. And the third was, I think, close to the end of the tournament in grand finals, that was probably some of the highest level of play that we've seen in a while. Tekken Master was absolutely at the top of this game. And the way that he was playing both with Cetrion and Cabal was so dominant, it's possible that the only person who could have stopped him at that tournament was Sonic. And even Sonic, it wasn't easy, right? They didn't walk through Tekken Master. It was competitive. It came down to, the last read, the last hit. So I think overall, a lot of the people who may have written off some of the European regions really have to reconsider after this tournament. Not just for Tekken Master's sake, but also for Arn Kratos, for Azerbaijan, all those guys. It's clear that area of the world is really representing and training hard and can really compete even with our top players. So overall, I thought it was a great event, super exciting and really interesting to watch.
Yeah, thank you for the details. Tom Brady, go ahead. Tom, can you hear me?
Yeah, my mic was muted. Um, We Play was a snore fest for me up until the grand finals. I liked Azerbaijan. The player story was fascinating to me more so than the game. I paid attention more so for the individual story for the players, and I think most people found themselves rooting for a couple of things, whether it was for Azerbaijan or then you just you saw like if you know Guro Biohazard, you understand how passionate they are about things, and those guys were going down fighting no matter what. And of course, to watch all those guys play and their own individual stories play out, I think was the most entertaining thing about it to me. As people at the top of their game, if that involves doing jump kick, jump kick, jump kick, jump kick, jump kick, jump kick, while Dragon could tell you not just when they were going to do it, how they were going to do it, and all the high level tactics in the game, flawless block, backdash, trip guard, all failed them. So unless we want to say Dragon isn't smart, which no one's going to say that just showed like, and I understand not everyone is Tekken master, but I would say you could probably be half of his skill and Dragon would win that match, but it would still be very frustrating, which probably shouldn't happen. Stuff like that is very, very frustrating in a game in which the very creator has said that there was a focus on not allowing things like that. I remember, because we're going to talk about it at some point, a lot of the big thing was, MKX and the running and yada, yada, yada. And the big focus on MK11 was, look, MKX, we got rid of the run button because we want the in close combat. That was Ed Boon's direct quote. But we don't want you to be able to run up to the guy and just mindlessly like easily get in and then force that on. The strategy is going to be in what they call quote unquote footsies, which is basically saying we want the combat in close, but the way to get in is not going to be so automatic and brain dead. I actually think it's that to me was very disturbing when I saw that because it's like, well, flawless block didn't cut it. Like I saw so few flawless blocks in general in some obvious situations like jump ins where we're told the answer is this, the answer is that. And even if somebody did flawless block a jump in, the guy would just get up and do it again with a mindset of, okay, well, I'll do 90 more before I see another flawless block. So it just shows like I would that I think that aspect needs. I think the just how powerful jumping is gets downplayed quite a bit in this game. Uh, Even though that's hard to say because so many people talk about it, but that was a little like that really kind of turned me off some of those sets, especially because we had a pool of like Fujin, Jackie, Cabal, and half of the matches were like watching Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. As far as Sonya goes, I wasn't too sold on Sonya in general. I don't think she's bad, but she isn't the greatest. Cetrion doesn't make a top 8. Nobody's questioning, oh, is she not number 1 all of a sudden? Sonya making a top 8 doesn't mean is she in the top. It's somewhere in between, right? The truth is always neither to one extreme or the other. She's somewhere in the middle, a solid mid tier who can compete at a very high level. So I don't think that was in dispute unless I don't know. I don't think anyone really thought she was garbage or the worst, but uh, if they were, I think that's certainly not the case. And then, of course, the grand finals, which was the only time that I was truly excited to watch. I really liked the match in the grand finals because I think it was very entertaining. It was an intense set and two characters that are very creative in the way they play the game. They both kind of have their own meta, and you didn't really see. The reason why the grand finals are entertaining to me is a lot of the things that just turn you off about the game are not present when those two characters play. They both have great armor breaks. They both do great against breakaway. Both do great against the wake up system, whether it's a restand, backdash, rock wall, or Joker doing some kind of a trap to negate a lot of your options. They both handle the game's most hated mechanics to the point that you don't even see it. You don't see those rolls. You don't see those up 3, up 2. Wake up is more controlled. Breakaway is more controlled. All the aspects of things we hate are more controlled, which is what made the set more entertaining. Had Tekken Master and Sonic Fox been playing Shao Kahn versus Scarlet, they probably would have had to cut the stream off because nobody would have watched it. And I think that's what I came away with. I was excited to play the game after I saw that because it made me hope for an update because I wanted to start playing again. But of course, the silence from NRS just kind of killed a lot of my interest, and now I'm back on the waiting list like everyone else.
Well, maybe we can get into that a little bit later. Rio, go ahead.
Yeah, for WePlay, I had a blast watching it. Out of all the MK tournaments I've been watching recently over the past year, online, offline, I'd say for sure WePlay was beyond the most entertaining one to watch compared to all these ones I've been seeing. Someone did some stats on the top 8 for it, and it had 12 characters used, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. Because normally when you talk about MK11, you feel like, it's only like a 3 or 4 character game, right? But to see that many different characters used in top 8 is kind of insane. And also the talking point, for months, how, Sonya's unviable, she's bottom tier, like she needs to be one of the characters that has to get looked at. And then you have this dude, Azerbaijan, come out of literally nowhere and start doing work with Sonya. His match versus Rewind, my jaw was wide open versus that, because I would never have expected that someone as good as Rewind, who's like arguably like top 3, top 4 American players at MK11, would get 3-0'd by this dude Sonya. That to me was insane, just the way that Azerbaijan was playing with her. Like, he was just utilizing her movement, her zoning, her spacing, her low profiling poke, her forward 4 mid that crushes some down threes. Like it was just perfectly executed. Yeah, the parries. I didn't even know she had a parry until this tournament, actually, because I've never seen a Sonya use that before. But there were so many good matches. Like Bio beating Azerbaijan, that was another crazy match. 3-2 down to the wire. Sonic beating Rewind was another insane match. Grand Finals was epic. I called Tekken Master versus Sonic Fox in it. And even Tekken Master defeating Dragon in the Cetron Mirror, I would have never seen that coming. So ultimately, this tournament had a lot of surprises, and for me personally, it was very entertaining to watch.
Zyphox, what do you think?
I didn't get to watch too much of the WePlay just because I was working at the time, a lot of hours, and I did get to cut into the stream for the playoffs. So I seen like most of the hype stuff. I didn't get to really watch the group stages, but man, WePlay, the production is really what took. Like, bro, they got stats. They literally only pull something up for you. They literally have stats for average combo hits and average combo amount. They're like breaking shit down, like max combo down. Like I don't even know if these things are useful, but it looks official as hell because it's just great, like great production all around.
The idea is good.
Yeah, definitely. If they implement that more and we start using stats, like that's the meta, like in the future, that'd be crazy. Just the arena stuff, we've seen it from the first WePlay. It's just a really good venue, honestly. I'm pretty sure that spectating would be awesome to watch this go down live. If you wanted to take the flight to Ukraine to do it, but just the way they got it, everything set up is just A1 to the production. The commentary was great. At least in the playoffs, I didn't get to see the groups. The meta in this game, yeah, it could fall stale, but when people are like playing with their life on the line in tournament, you see like magic happen where almost you wouldn't expect. Like when you're talking about like the Sonic Fox versus Rewind, like at the last second, like you see like almost uncharacteristic like things happen, and like they both do uncharacteristic like things at the same time, and it's like the weirdest clash ever. And those moments in tournament where it's like almost like a scramble are so hype. I love stuff like that, and it seemed like this tournament was chock full of them. Like, and obviously Sonic Fox, running it back. Grand Finals, that was also really good, or really entertaining. I think overall it was just really entertaining. MK11, I have hope for it, because like Tom pointed out, the Cetrion versus Joker matchup actually really did highlight what this game could be if some of the more glaring issues were fixed, or at least be more. I think the just overall fun factor, if that were to ever be patched in, would be great.
Well, I think if I may say, one of the criticism, well, not necessarily of the production, but I didn't like how they interview players after they immediately lost in the top 8. I think that was kind of obnoxious. I know Dragon was like very, very emotional. Obviously, I don't blame any of the players for that. It seems very, I don't know if insensitive is the right word. Like, why would you interview players right immediately after their losses? It seems completely unnecessary. I didn't like that at all.
Dude, it made me so sad when they interviewed Arm Kratos and Conquer right after a loss. It's like, dude, give these players some time to breathe, man. Come on.
On Kratos hurt me the most because they were like, whatever. He was like, oh, I always guess wrong in that situation. And they were like, so when you guess wrong there, right? And I just kept, they wouldn't let him off.
Like, how does that make you really feel? Tell
Right,
us.
and
How
he
does it
was-
make you feel when you get outplayed
You
and
see
look
on his
like
face,
shit?
he was like, I don't know, man. I just always, and like I felt so bad for him.
They need to stop doing that. They need to
Yeah.
interview the person who wins a set, not the person who lost. Let them collect their thoughts. Give them like 10 minutes or
That's
something.
a situation of that format being held together, being thought of by people who don't understand what it's like to lose in that spot and what it
Yeah.
really feels like
Yeah.
emotionally.
Dude, these players are kind because if they were trying to interview me after a loss, I'd be like, no, get that mic out of my face. I'm not going to talk.
And Dave, but before you continue, I just want to bring it up because I know some people might say it in the comments or whatever. Like, yes, they do interview losers in sports, but almost invariably, they give them time to collect their thoughts first, right? They come to the locker room after the game, or they do a press conference after, and they have time to compose themselves and get ready to speak. It's almost never like you get knocked out in the boxing match, and immediately after, someone's there in your face with a microphone.
There's a reason why when you lose the Super Bowl, they interview the winning team on the field, and the losing team does the press conference afterwards.
Exactly.
But that's the first you hear from them, right? They don't say, "Let's talk to the losing quarterback right now." You will hear from him when he's showered, has a suit on, and goes to the podium.
Dude, in the game, it was like before the game even said finish him. They're like, "Yo, come here. We need to talk to you real quick." And the dude's like, "What the hell?"
They're mid X-ray or whatever, and they cover with animation.
How does it feel to be hit by this?
Bro, that was so that was so brutal what they did though. They were like, "Yo, come talk real quick."
Hit him with the game-winning fatal blow midway through the animation. So how does it feel losing? Like,
Yeah, or at least in some cases the loser might be cool. Like there are some situations where you can see the guy was kind of like, good game. But if it's a situation like Dragon where you can clearly see he's emotional, he's literally like with his head bent down by the monitor crying, then you got to give him some time before you make him interview.
Dude, the whole time they were walking to get interviewed there right after a loss, I kept thinking of that meme in my head. You guys know the meme where that guy's like trying to like sit still and he has like that vein in his face?
Yeah.
Like he's trying to like control his emotions. You guys know what meme I'm talking about?
Yep.
That instantly came to mind for that. It was hilarious.
But Dave, what did you think about? I thought the production was good. I didn't mention that. I like that as well. The production was really good as well. What did you think about the other stuff though, like the gameplay or like the tournament in general as a whole, like as far as like the actual like the competition?
I mean, no disrespect to the players, but I thought the game is inconceivably boring. I don't know if I'm the only one, and I don't say it in any malicious or nefarious manner to the players. I think Sonya did surprising with Azerbaijan, and I think that Arn Kratos did better than I thought he would be with Shang Tsung, because I have my doubts about the character. Maybe not as much as Cowboy, but I think that the meta is. I don't want to be polarizing or controversial. That's not my point, because I'm trying to kind of tone that down on the podcast. But this game is the most stale game I have ever played in my life. I haven't played the game in probably 2-3 months. That doesn't mean I watch it. I do watch some of them, but then again, I watch even Soul Calibur, and I never even played that game. I think the game desperate needs some kind of shakeup, and from what I've seen, regardless of what the indecisive community that we have thinks about the game, because I think we all think it needs something, but people can't decide what it needs because there are always arguments. I think it really needs something. And from all the major fighting games, the content, I think Tom, you talked about there's actually been a lot of content. I'll let you talk about that because you made that point. But as far as gameplay is concerned, the game has really changed almost none. Like, they've tried the armor. It was almost comical. I mean, it was literally like just makes you laugh. They tried to add that. It literally changed nothing. By the way, some characters couldn't even take advantage of, because the moves that are, the armor breaking moves that are supposed to help you with combos, some characters couldn't even equip because or it was in a variation where they couldn't even use it. I think you mentioned Nightwolf. Like
Some characters had an armor break but no launcher.
I know it was just like ridiculous, and I think they need to get blown up massively for that. Um,
Speaking on that, do you think that they should make characters more universal so that way everybody has an armor break that launches?
Well, no, but let me sign on this because Dave brought it up. I thought about this, like, because we're we're 5 months after. So this week will be 5 months post Ultimate, and we got the news for Ultimate a month before we got it, so we'd be 6 months post we first learned about Ultimate. And I was looking at the news of the game, and I was like, well, our game's been out 2 years. In those 2 years, we've got 12 DLC characters. That's an average of one character every 2 months, which is unheard of in a 24-month span of any fighting game ever. We've gotten third tournament variations, story mode expansion, a new mechanic, armor break, another variation mode which allows now customizable characters, so to speak, in competitive modes. All this content in a 24-month period, that has to be a record for a fighting game. And it did nothing. Because I don't think literally not one complaint from even the beta has been addressed in the entire history of the game through all these patches. And I honestly think
Okay, wait, I have to correct you. That's actually not true. There was one complaint during the beta that got addressed.
Which one?
Scarlet. She got nerfed from the beta because people were complaining that she was
the
too
overall
stupid.
system.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like,
Yeah, I
they
don't
did
mean by
listen
a
to some
character.
feedback.
I mean by they thought the game wasn't boring enough, so they wanted to nerf Scarlet more.
Also, I have to say, they did a huge mistake of listening to people complaining about Scarlet, because I think Scarlet, if she stayed how she was in the beta, yeah, she would have been really strong and way more annoying to play right now, but she would have been better, more viable, you know?
I think she'd still be halfway, barely better.
Dude, she was way better in the beta than she is right now.
Whatever. But the point is, overall, I think NRS felt the third variations were going to be a bigger meta shakeup, and they were barely any meta shakeup at all. We got upgraded Jackie. They gave characters their own meta, but as far as the meta that everyone else plays, it barely affected that. And then you have Armor Break. I think for sure they thought Armor Break were going to be a major meta shakeup. Not really. And then I think they thought Customs, that was going to be a much bigger meta shakeup than it was. And it was. The thing is, custom variations have the same impact on the meta overall as down ones and down threes being more plus on hit, more negative on block, which is ridiculous. That both have kind of an equal effect on the meta shakeup. And that just goes to show that Customs, while they were probably the most significant meta shakeup, barely moved the meter. So really, NRS has certainly tried. It's like NRS has tried to change the game. It's almost like they said, we want to try to change the game without actually changing any of it at all. And that's really what happened.
So I have an interesting topic I want to discuss with you guys, something that's fresh and no one's really talked about yet. What I want to talk about is, why do some other scenes enjoy the game a lot? Like, for example, I have a friend who is from Russia, and he follows the Russian scene. The Russian Discord's big and it's massive for this game. Why do the Russian players love MK11 so much there? And also Tekken Master. I'm not sure how Tekken Master's area feels, but I know Tekken Master is really fond of the game. He likes it. Why do you guys think other areas like MK11 a lot, but it seems that in America, like, the game is so hated? Do you think it's just different cultures, or what is it exactly?
I'm not even sure I believe that the premise, because Tekken Master.
No, I wouldn't be lying. No.
I'm not questioning you. I'm questioning your friend or whatever, because Tekken Master, the guy who wanted to get Jackie banned, likes the game, right? Like I'm having a very, very.
I have tweet evidence if you would like. I could show you if you think I'm lying.
I'm not questioning you.
There are some people who will say right now they like the game, but we have them on stream saying this game is garbage. So
yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
No. I'm talking about like the people from other areas that love the game. Like if you go to the Discord, they're all praising it. They're going like, "This is the best MK game ever." True quotes. I'm not saying this.
You can find other statements from them that have the contrary of the opinion. So it's kind of selective.
Well, even with Tekken Master again, I just gave the example literally a couple of seconds ago. He whatever. I'm not doubting that he said that, but on the same token, he literally said that I think Jackie ruins the game, and I think she should be banned. And that's, by the way, the nerfed Jackie that we have in this game, not the one who could.
Sure, but you could like a game and not like a character. For example, I'm sure during MK9, people that like that game didn't like the top tiers like Cyrix, Cabal, and they were advocating for changes even though they liked the game, right?
Fair enough, but again, I don't want to get into. I can give you many examples. People get called haters like Tom viciously for many months, even when they're making good videos. I mean, it can go both ways, but I think.
Dude, the hate Tom gets is very tame compared to other people. But anyway, go on.
I doubt that, but fair enough. I don't want to talk about that issue because I want to talk. I think
That was the funny one.
I think that if you want to talk about globally, I mean the game is pretty much also dead. I don't see how anybody can make any other arguments. Like global games are like Tekken, Street Fighter. I don't know how much Smash is played outside of the US.
So globally, MK11's that's interesting because the numbers for We Play MK was way higher than other games that were featured there, like Tekken and Soul Calibur.
Well,
I don't know if that's because they didn't advertise Tekken or Soul Calibur, or because the game just had more draw for Mortal Kombat.
Well, I think even with MK, we got to be careful how we analyze the data because some people may be watching on Twitch. Like, for example, I watched on YouTube because you never really know where these communities are watching this. They may have certain other websites. I don't know.
Sure. No, I just wanted to ask why does it seem like in Russia they actually like MK11, but if you come to the US, it's completely opposite.
I think
hate the game
again, I don't believe that at all. I think that's a false premise.
Okay, so you don't believe that at all. All right, fair enough. Even though what I'm saying is not. What I could do is next podcast we could come on the person I'm talking about to speak for the Russian scene, and he could tell you himself.
I don't think even the Russians believe that, but I'll digress. Crimson, would you like to comment on that?
Yeah. Okay. Here's what I think. My thinking on this is a little different. I think part of what's changed in our community is that there's no longer a middle ground, right? Like, I think in a lot of cases, both of these things are true. Like, some people strongly dislike the game, some people really like it. But we've gotten to the point where instead of meeting in the middle, where some people are like, yeah, I could use more of this or more of that, and other people are like, yeah, I like it. There's some things I don't like, but I still enjoy playing the game. Now it's either got to be
all bad or all good.
Yeah, you absolutely love it or hate it. Like look at the discussion that we just had, right? To say that armor breaks haven't changed the meta at all, I don't think that's honest. I think they have changed the meta a lot, but it's matchup dependent.
I didn't say it didn't change it at all.
Yeah, it's character tool dependent. Characters are different.
To reiterate, I didn't say that changed it at all, but I don't feel like it had the shakeup NRS was hoping for.
Right.
So
Yeah,
it did shake it up.
The reason why it's because it's character specific. I think what NRS messed up with is they should have made it universal instead of making it character
dependent. It did shake the game up, but not to the point that I feel like with the changes they have made, they felt like we'll certainly have more time between one update and the next before people want more. But it was not as impactful as they were hoping for, although it did have an impact.
Right. Well, it depends on the matchup, right? Like, I think very regularly now we see people lose matches based on breaking at the wrong time, right? Because if you get caught, if you get caught with an armor break, if someone's waiting and combos in the fatal blow or something like that, you can literally die. Those are some of the most damaging situations in the game. So I think it kind of gets back to what I was saying when they released Ultimate, which is that it felt like a step forward, but it didn't feel like a final patch. You know, like there was more balancing needed. And for whatever reason, we haven't moved a lot since then. And so I think that is why, like, some of these teams, if you look at the entrants for like pro competition, for Liga Latina, for Europe, like plenty of people are signing up. Clearly people want to play the game. But at the same time, there are people who are put off from playing the game because of the reasons, either general meta stuff, but in a lot of cases just because their character doesn't do this, right? If you're a Setchion player, you probably have nothing to complain about right now, right? Whereas if you're playing a character that doesn't have some of the same tools, then the game looks completely different to you. So that's why I say, to me, the answer is somewhere in the middle. I think that the game clearly isn't dead. Clearly lots of people are playing it. But it also feels like we're at an indeterminate sort of like middle stage where certain people will only be happy if they continue to make changes to the game.
I think that's a fair analysis, and I'm trying to be towards the middle, less than trying to not trying to be completely negative. I'm just having a very difficult time. accepting the game as it is right now, to be honest with everybody. And I do agree with you that I don't think the game is dead in the sense that people are not playing it. I think you're 100% right. The game actually gets plenty of views. Even right now, as we're recording this, we have about 2,200 viewers on the NA West Week 6 tournament. So I don't think the game is dead. I just think, at least for me personally speaking, I think the game is extremely boring. I really don't have any character that kind of fits me at the moment, and I'm forced to play a style that I don't want to play. Always up close, jump kick, down one, strike throw meta. I think, again, to me, that's very, very boring. But I might be a minority, but that's just how I feel at the moment. I don't know how others
Yeah,
feel.
I think we should focus on getting to the roots of the problem, because a lot of times we talk about we don't like the game, but we kind of tiptoe around the reasons. So, from what I've seen, the top 3 things that people want changed for this
Why
game
don't we
that
give
have
our
been
opinions on
constantly
what we don't
requested.
like about it then, instead of what
Yeah, but can I do the top 3 thing
Sure,
and then we'll
sure,
discuss if
sure.
that's true or not? So the top 3 requested things, I see people that really are wanting these changes, like I see it every single day, are 1, the balance has to get fixed. 2, less zoning walking back, because the current zoning in this game is just irritating a lot of players. And 3, the combos. People are very advocate that they want combos for every character. They don't like how limited the combo pool is in this game. So they want, ultimately, for some people out there, it seems like their dream patch would be the game to be balanced, for there to be less zoning and walking back and the lame stuff, and for there to be actual long, lengthy combos that they're able to do. What do you guys think about those?
lame stuff is part of fighting games. I would say get over it. That's what I would say about that.
Sure, but if let's say you're in NRS's shoes, and there's a lot of people that you read every day saying, "We're tired of Jade, we're tired of Cetron, we're tired of zoning this, projectile this, lame." Do you just ignore that, or do you address
Yes,
it?
because
Can't
it's
just.
part of fighting games. Being lame is just as important as being aggressive.
Well, the way I would approach the game, I would, again, you can't satisfy everybody's needs, but for the guy,
Yeah, exactly. But that's the whole reason why I brought the 3 most talked about things. That's why, since we
well,
can't satisfy
I'll
everybody,
tell you,
we might as well talk about the things that are
Yeah,
constantly mentioned
no,
every single day.
I know what you're saying. For me, I think if you're a developer, you have to look at what's your theme, what's the theme of the patch, and the way that I would approach it is again, I'm old school, so I'm like, okay, look, I want the guy who wants pressure to be able to do pressure. I want the guy who wants strong Oki to be able, a lot better Oki than this freaking game has to offer, which is just pathetic, in my opinion. I want the guy who wants to, a little bit stronger zoning. I would like to give him as well. So I would give, more in a nutshell, not to go into every specific about each character, make the characters as unique as possibly you can without, of course, lowering the balance.
But see, here's the issue with that. NRS kind of wanted to do that approach with armor breaks by giving everybody their own unique, different armor break, but that kind of blew over because now people don't like how some characters are really good at armor breaking, some aren't, and it's character dependent. So should they really try to make characters very different? Because if they go that route, there's some people going to be like, why can this character pressure me so good? Why can this character command throw the hell out of me? Why can this character literally just kill me by zoning? Do you think that would cause more issues?
Well, I think
That doesn't
I don't
matter. In boxing, some people can say, how come Floyd Mayweather can beat you by running away? And the boxing commission doesn't say, oh, why beat you by running away? We got to do something about the rules there. They say, shut the fuck up.
Well,
we need to start doing that.
So basically, when someone's playing against a Jade and they're getting zoned out, and the game is literally not frustrating, they should just be told to shut up, and it's not going to change. And they're probably going to actually buff Jade to make her do what she's doing even better.
The offensive player somehow thinks in their Neanderthal brain that it is less frustrating for you, the defensive player, while they are ramming their moves down their throat. This is so fun, right? And then it's like they say, my frustration is more important than your frustration. And if you say, why can't we do both? That's not fair. Why? Because then I'll be frustrated.
Yeah, but see, this is the thing. So everybody comes from a different walk of life, right? There's some people out there that just, no matter what you do, I'm sorry, but they do not like zoning. They're not going to sit there and have fun while you're throwing projectiles at them or jump back leaving with Jade.
Okay.
They just, to them, that is ruining the game for them. So what I'm trying to understand is, how could NRS make the game for
people want
everybody
everything to be easy, and anything that requires any bit of thought is not fun. It doesn't matter if it's zoning in one game, it's something else in another. Anything that prohibits you from doing what you want to do when you want to do it is considered irritating. Oh my God, that's so irritating, chasing somebody down. If they had their way, the stage would literally be a small square in which you couldn't move anywhere and you're just fighting nose to nose like a corner. Right.
Tom,
Instant
like
gratification era, man.
Tom, like Tekken 4 Underground, right?
That's exactly what I was thinking of. Actually,
People will know the reference,
that's
but anyway.
exactly that's
The
exactly
point,
what I was thinking of.
here's the point though. There's a difference. Again, I don't like the way that some of like the question or the statement, whatever it was
Well,
framed.
I'm wording in a way so that it has to be answered, and you can't.
I
tiptoe
want
Well,
around
I'm
everyone
it.
to
not.
weigh in on
Well,
it, so
hold
I'll
on,
just say
hold,
my piece on this, and everybody.
I
well,
just
hold on.
want the
Let
questions
me
to
just
be
say.
I
answered.
don't want to answer the question because I
Well,
think it's a dumb question. But I just because I don't
no,
want to.
it's not a dumb question.
Yeah, but here's the thing that look. For example, let's say they overhaul the game next patch. They do everything that we want in the call, right? We're all cool with zoning in this call, so we wouldn't nerf it. They do
It's
everything
not
we
about being
want,
cool with
us. But then someone's watching the podcast, and they're like, "Wait a minute, how come the people on the podcast got their version of the game, and now they like
hold
it
on,
like in the
hold on,
future?
Maria.
But I hate the game because there's so much zoning, you know." So that's why I'm trying to
I'll
make it so
answer
the people that don't have a voice
Oh,
have a voice.
when you say, so what do people say when they say, so you think it's okay that somebody can lay me out and do this? Yes, that is acceptable. If someone says, you think it's okay that somebody could just get in and rush me down? Yes, that's acceptable. So you think it's okay if someone's using these command grabs and I have to guess this or that? Yes, that's acceptable. So what you're
All
saying,
right, well, let me ask you a question now. Do you think it's okay that Setron and Jackie can do what they're doing to some characters?
yes, that is acceptable. The problem is not that they can do that to some characters. The problem is that those characters can't do anything back to them.
And
Do you think it's fair to say that NRS may have messed up by toning down some characters that could have fought those characters in the past?
Look at Jackie players. I mean, look at Cetrion players. They love zoning. I'm not here to defend Johnny Cage, the original outtake 9-frame fireball, because I know people didn't like it. But the people that cried about it the most,
You kind of needed that, though.
but the people that cried about it the most were the Cetrion players. Oh, we're getting what?
Yeah, well, here's the see that
So
goes
they
to my
want
next
you to
point.
zone they want to do whatever they want to you. But the minute any character has anything they can do against her, the
Yeah,
Cetrion
exactly.
players say
So
nerf it, get it. Even if it's zoning,
this goes to my
the
point, and it's good you
Cetrion
brought up.
players even cry about zoning if they're getting zoned. Even
Yeah,
zoning is not
it's
okay
really
to
good
them.
you mentioned Johnny because I want to say Johnny, in my opinion, was one of the characters that got unfairly nerfed. Wouldn't you guys agree that the game would have been better if Johnny was at a higher level? Because back then he wasn't way better than Setron, Jack, and whatever. He was on their level, right? So to me, it doesn't make sense how some characters get toned and taken away from being top, but then other characters can stay. I think that to me is pretty unfair.
Well, look, I don't want to keep answering. I think we should just go in on like what we find irritating about MK11, rather because we'll just go in. If we
All
talk,
right, so just to
yeah,
okay,
let's
so
start
we're
with Zyphox because people always say Zyphox.
okay. So
is
Zyphox,
quiet.
what do you personally don't like about the game? Instead, forget what people care or not, but your own opinion.
My own opinion, I've been pretty consistent in my opinion. I think the game is pretty good, but it's not the greatest. It's not that fun, in my opinion, just because they kind of killed the thing that made the other games really fun, which is combo potential or like a freedom of combo potential.
Yeah, combos are a huge thing. Yeah.
Archetypes or whatever, right? Like, if you were getting zoned out in one game, one of the past games, and you picked the rushdown, that in your head, as long as you got in, you were able to really, make do with your chance. I feel like the reason that Cetrion in this game is quote unquote so powerful is that, yeah, once you get in on Cetrion, her buttons are better than yours, and she has a teleport. Get out of free jail card basically out of the corner.
Okay, wait, hold on. Zyphox, I may have to correct you there. I don't know if her buttons are better than yours when you get in on her. She has one of the slowest down ones in the game, and she has one of the slower mids if you don't count her back there.
Right.
But down one's 8 frames.
But in this game, none of those even matter because you get a slap on the wrist for these mids. These mids do not carry the same weight as they did in past games.
Well, actually, to be accurate, the reason that it doesn't matter for Cetrion is that normally, right, you block a mid into something and then you take your turn, and if your button's faster and you're in her face, it's going to be a problem. But the issue with Cetrion is that when she finishes, right, and you block a tornado or whatever, you're spaced so far away that
you're always zoned out. You're never in.
Yeah.
So the issue isn't that Cetron's too good when you get up close in. The issue is that you barely ever get to get in. Like as Baraka, you're never going to be range 0 in her face.
Yeah,
like that. It's so
let
rare.
me clarify what I meant, right? In this game, right? Let me just compare it to an old game. When you get in, right, and let's say whatever, Cetrion fucked up and you got in, she's on block now. Whatever you did something on block. Cetrion has almost just enough, basically just enough leeway to be able to get out of situations at a better rate than in past games. In past games, the characters that are zoning and had slow buttons like this were almost always locked down immediately because of those buttons being slow, and they would have to guess in some type of offense. Characters had offense on block in most of these other games. In this game, it's really like stagger. The offensive block is like stagger, and whether or not someone's going to chase you after you try to back up or anything like that, or you do like the strike throw.
I get what you're saying if you're talking about Street Fighter and stuff, but I don't know if NRS games have zoners that play by the rules. Because when I think of past zoners, like if it's MKX and just as MK9, they were all stupid up close.
Exactly right. But what I'm trying to say is here that you lose your turn immediately upon putting someone on block in this game. Like, there's nothing that you can do fancy. Most characters don't have anything crazy they can do, like a cancel.
Yeah,
like
you have to
MKX.
be like a Jackie, right? A Jackie that kind of does beyond what the game was meant to do. A lot of characters.
Let's just take Injustice 2, for example. A character like Flash, when he did a back 2, well, he was plus on block. As long as in my mind, I knew that if I just landed a back 2 in neutral and I could get him on block, I can set him up for him to play my game now. Now that I've been playing Deadshot's game for the past half hour. You understand? In this game, there's...
but you got in on Deadshot and he was mixing you better than you were mixing.
I don't think so. Not in my case. I definitely took advantage, but maybe in other people's cases.
I think it just used a bad example because characters like Starfire, Dr. Fate, and so on were like obnoxious up close.
Yeah,
they were so obnoxious up close.
You got it on her.
You got in, she'd be like, down one flight, down one cancel, down one hair whip, it's a special.
My only point of what I'm saying is that because the offense is nerfed in this game, that, your turn doesn't go as far to be able to punish Cetrion and what she's doing.
Yeah, you have to use like a Jackie or something, because other characters don't have moves that they could special cancel to be plus. Only Jackie really has that, and Fujin, I guess you could say.
You're counting on people either taking the throw or challenging your staggers. That's what you're counting on when you get on in any situation on blocking this game.
I think Zyphox, I think that's you're 100% right. I think that's the number one issue with the game, and that's what I mean. I will make your offense better in this game because I think.
But here's the thing. But here's where it's tricky. Back then, we had more characters that had better offense. Remember when Aaron could meterlessly scud shot cancel all day?
Yeah. People
wanted that gone. So this is the thing. It gives NRS a mixed message. Do you guys want meterless constant offense when people get in, or no? Because if you look at the past nerf histories, characters that had that before in the game were targeted.
I don't think any character in this game ever has really super strong Oki. Not like I'm talking about MKX style, but to the point where you're oh, wait a minute, I can actually, maybe in Flash, maybe cross up with the pound or something to that extent where you just don't have, I don't know, 10 options on the ground.
Dave, here's the thing. Back then for this game, characters had this. Remember when Scarlet was plus 10 off restand, you couldn't do anything but block? There was stuff like that. It all got nerfed and removed. People complained.
It's still in the game. Cetrion has it.
No, Cetrion's not plus 10. She's not plus 10 offers.
I mean, Garrus,
way less.
Garrus
actually, isn't Wall plus 10 literally plus 15?
It's not a restand, Dave. It's not a restand.
I know
you're talking about the deadly wins.
No, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, no, but in the beta, Scarlet used to heal massive health every time she hit you, and she would restand you, and then you have to guess nonstop and take a strike throw. That people, you were there for the beta. People complain nonstop about Scarlet. Stuff like that got taken away. So if we tell NRS, yo, we don't like this, take it away, and then 2 years later go yo, we kind of like that, bring it back, isn't it kind of weird?
Garrus's Oki was also incredibly strong.
Garrus also had insane Oki and pressure, and that got taken away too.
Well, I think the thing with
same thing with Aaron. Aaron used to be an up close monster. That was his best range, and then that, of course, got.
Well, I think with Garrus, he could literally do everything. I think that's the problem. He could low sand trap. Let's not forget that it was a lot safer. Well, not a lot, but it was definitely safer on whiff, right? Remember, they nerfed the recovery, so he could literally sand trap you all day, and when you get in, he could do start the forward 2-1-2 shenanigans. So,
go ahead. Look at what was complained about most and what got addressed first. It wasn't the defense; it was the offense. People wanted 4-2-1-2 gone. His ability to lock you down in those throw loops and have that kind of Oki is the first thing that they wanted.
Bro, they wanted Aaron's forward 4 and slide nerfed. Out of all things in the game.
I think we just have a different perspective as far as the question is ultimately.
Well, individually, Dave, what don't you like about the game?
Well, let me just say this because I think this is important. The question is really, whom do we blame, right? That's really the question. What we're talking
No,
about.
it's not about who do we blame. It's who do we
I mean, but
listen to.
you are pointing fingers at the community. So to me, I think it's
No. I'm telling you why NRS did things. Like for some reason, Dave, it seems like you think NRS decided out of nowhere to nerf Scarlet without nobody saying anything. That's not the truth.
I understand that. I think that again, I think NRS.
I think we should stop focusing on blaming community or devs, and we should talk about why things were done. For example, do you really believe Aaron Black?
Well, that's your interpretation.
No, but I'm saying, do you really think Aaron Black was nerfed out of nowhere one blue moon, or do you think it was because people were complaining?
Game. That's literally as old as fighting games are.
Sure, so I don't get why we're trying to talk about who to blame. That's such an irrelevant talking point that's not going to help anybody.
What are your pet peeves in the game?
Yeah.
I think I'm not. I've already said what it is. It's the meta. The balance I think is fine. The balance is not fine it's fine in like I think Setron is fine, Jackie's fine as far as the power level is concerned. But I think the other characters some of them are pathetically weak that I can't even look at them. But what I would change is like I would add something to the meta, make it a little bit different. And I think that
the meta.
Yeah, the meta, really, that's what I really want to focus on. And again, what I would add to the meta is I would make character as unique as possible. And that would be my approach.
Let's define what the meta is right now for everyone confused at home right now.
Yeah.
Listening to this podcast. What is the meta right now?
I'll go first if you guys don't mind. To me, the meta is more footsie and read based more than any other NRS game.
Footsie? What are you talking about?
It's the most footsie and read-based game out of any NRS game.
Quote from Dragon: whenever somebody jumps, they are always at advantage.
Okay, but sure. Okay, so can you quote me what? Can you quote me what MK game Dragon says is most footsie based? Since it's not MK11, then was it MKX?
No.
You want to make me laugh?
No.
Then what game was it?
Unfortunately, it was MK9.
Okay, so then what I said, so no, MK9 was not the most footsie based.
Yeah, you're playing those.
What footsies, dude? You couldn't even play footsie against half the cast. Footsies against Sonya, against Kung Lao, against Sub-Zero. What are you talking about?
I watch Crouching Tiger,
what footsies?
I'll say, look,
dude,
guys.
MK9 meta, look. If we're gonna keep it real on this podcast, let's not lie. MK9 meta was not footsies. That's not what the meta was.
This game is a footsie meta.
No, Tom, listen to what I said carefully. MK11.
I want Rio on record. MK11 is about footsies.
No, listen.
Look, if you want to tell me MK11 isn't footsie and read based, then tell me what NRS game is better at footsies than this.
Is it footsie and read based? I'm asking you.
It's the most footsie and read based game they ever made. Yes,
Tom,
it's the most footsie and read based MK game. Tell me what game is more than this game.
He has answered your question.
Tell me what NRS game is more footsie and read based than this game.
I agree with Rio.
For sure not Injustice. For sure not MK9. Hell no MKX. Sadly, it's this game.
Tell me how to stop somebody from doing jump.
You flawless block.
There's multiple ways.
Really? So you're telling me they were all idiots that we play?
Tom, can you tell me how to stop jumping in MKX? Because I'll tell you this right now, this game gives you more options to stop jumping in this game than MKX.
I have an answer, but I don't want to get into it.
You know what, Rio? You've got to stop this crusade, this anti-MKX crusade.
I don't have an here's the thing though, I hate having to be the guy to put MKX on the spot because everybody else loves the game. But here's the thing.
Unfortunately, it is.
No, MK9 is not more footsie based. MK9 is not the most footsie based.
Well,
Tom, you didn't even play footsies in the game. You had a character that had a clone.
Said because of Cabal. Every fucking goddamn character is Cabal in MK11. You can't stop
somebody
from jumping.
Characters in MK11 have block evidence like Cabal? What are you talking about? They have infinite armor like Cabal in MK9?
A block trap does not mean footsies. Tom,
look.
I don't
we get that you don't like the game, but we have to tell the truth.
Bro,
we have to tell the truth.
What you do when you're close has nothing to do with goddamn footsies.
Crimson, Zyphox, are we really going to sit here and say MK11 every like MK9 Cabal?
I don't agree with
no one has an opinion on
this because MK9, if we were going to really be objective,
I didn't say MK9 was the greatest game. I said footsies, it was the best.
We didn't say that. You said that.
You're saying what you said, Tom. Since we're going to go there, right? What you said is, and then what Rio said. What you said is that MK9 out of the footsies for all NRS games is the best footsie game. I think it is not. I don't think so.
It's not. Because most characters in the game didn't even play football.
Right. But this game is no better. I'm not gonna even front. Like out of all the NRS games, yes, this game is just because of how tame and how lame it is. just because there's barely any. Like every character has like.
Let me
this,
ask
like,
you this:
formula.
when the top 3 characters in the game are being played, how much footsies are being played? Cetrion, Jackie.
Tom, look, let's say this. When you tell
No,
people, Tom, no, we have to be clear. Tom, wait. We have to be clear here.
How much?
Tom,
How much?
When you
how
look,
much neutral is
hold
in
on.
the
Let me
game?
just say this, and then I'll let you guys talk.
Tom, you're gonna say
we can't send a mixed message.
So you're saying
Yeah.
Cetrion is the
Tom,
very
be very
definition of neutral.
careful when you send a mixed message, because if you tell people right now MK9 is the most footsie game, they go back and play, and then they're playing against Freddy, who's literally 0 neutrals happening, they're going to be pissed. They're going to be like, wait, I was told MK9 is the most footsie game. Like, come on, let's keep
I
it
don't
real.
think we're the right people to have this conversation. None of us played characters that played footsies for years.
That's what I'm saying. Like, Kung Lao was in the air all the time. Freddy wasn't even on the...
Guys, we gotta let each other talk. Let each other talk.
Neutral is a state. The state of neutral means the state in which neither character has advantage. Cetrion has advantage over everyone, everywhere on the screen. Close, far, whatever. Even Freddy, as busted as he was.
Dude, no offense, but Cetrion plays more footsies than Freddy did.
Hold on. Neutral
That's
is
not
a
what
state.
neutral means.
Neutral is a state. The
Neutral
state
is-
of neutral.
No, I just want to clarify.
Neutral is not a state. Oh, I'm
There's-
sorry.
No. Neutral is the state, but it's the state where there is no advantage happening. Not meaning your character is.
Cetrion has never heard of that state.
No. It doesn't mean that this character is stronger than this character. Not that kind of disadvantage.
That's not
It
my
means,
point.
like,
I'm not making that point.
An actual disadvantage, like you're blocking something, you're at frame disadvantage. Like there's something happening actively that puts you at disadvantage.
I want to clarify what Tom is saying too, because I actually kind of agree with him in that point. When you're in, let's say you're not at advantage or disadvantage at all, and you're at a certain range on a certain character that's outside of your hitting range. For example, Joker with that fucking cane that he has. You're at a disadvantage while being inside that range, even if you're negative on block, plus on block, whatever. Let's not get that twisted. Characters who have instant, like, almost like from the deep, literally had you at advantage at any given time just because you can do a move which stops their movement and it requires in the block. That is putting
Zyphox, Black Magic, Adam's trait, all these like moves that just
those are
there's nothing like that in MK11. MK11
and that's
has it to the lowest extent.
That's why I agree with you, because of Tom's point and because of Crimson's point, altogether mixed in one. Literally, because no character in this game really has that except for Cetrion.
I know it sucks that MK11 has to be the game with the best footsies and reads that we have, but that's just how it is. Like,
It sucks.
So you're saying when you're fighting a Jackie player, you tell that person MK11 is about neutral.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that when you're playing against a Jackie player in MK11, it was worse than MK9, Injustice, and MKX in terms of neutral. That's what I'm telling you.
It was worse than MK9. What was worse?
Oh yeah.
Tom, I just told you most characters didn't play neutral in the game. They played their own game. There was no, they didn't do neutral.
There's neutral within
Kung Lao in the air 24/7 is playing neutral.
There's still neutral within your own game.
Cetrion.
Yes, every game has their own neutral, but we're saying which game is more footsie based. It's obviously MK11. We're not saying this game has no neutral. This game has neutral. We're not.
A game where
Tom, every game has neutral. Even Dive Kick, even MKX, even like the first fighting game ever made. Every game by existing has neutral.
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon is not neutral.
All right, if you think MK9 is more footsie based, and I feel bad for all the people to go back and try the game because they're not going to be playing footsie.
Tom, it's just unbelievable how you fall into these semantic
Look.
There's no trap. We're just discussing the game.
You know what? I'll say this right now. Me playing Dave Freddy versus Sub-Zero has more neutral than Jackie against anyone else.
What are you talking about? Are you serious?
How are you going to tell me? What the fuck would you know about that match?
Tom, may I say,
Tom, throwing ice clones random ice balls while he's doing random shit is not what I would cater. Yo, footsies, dog.
To
like
the untrained eye, that's all you see.
Tom,
but that's not what's going on. All their neutral is fucked for. Look, the problem is arguing which game has the most neutral. It's like
Tom, you literally said you liked Sub-Zero and MK9 because he's anti-footsie. You don't have to play footsie. Just stop the bullshit.
That's not what I said.
Stop.
That's not what I said.
Stop.
And
Come on, you guys have heard this.
MK11 is bad because somebody nerfed Aaron Black. So I don't want to hear that.
No, I said it makes the game. In my opinion, it makes the game worse. It makes the game worse, in my opinion.
Do I really give a shit which is farther away, the moon or Mars? I'm not going to either of
them. Why are we talking about this footsie topic? We were all asked the question. We were going to go around the room. Why is this so bent out of shape? It's not our fault that MK11 just happens to be the most footsie game.
My God, all their footsies are equally fucked for different reasons. The difference is, while one game's footsies is fucked, just like MK11's is, the game is not the answer for insomnia.
We never said MK11 footsies are perfect.
Play it.
We never said MK11 footsies are perfect. We said, unfortunately, it's the most footsie game that they put out. That's just how it is.
Unfortunately, the footsies are fucked for both reasons. The difference is in one game.
Okay, so but
The difference is in one game, while the footsies are fucked, they all do their own thing. In another game, the footsies are fucked, but 90% of the cast do nothing but down 1, down 3, down 4, sweep.
well, okay, so you said everybody in MK9 does their own thing. What does Jay do? Can you tell me what that character does? Because we've never seen her.
This is the game MK11, in which literally the announcers are blown away.
You said every character in MK9 does their own thing, but yet only the top 10 are used in tournament.
MK11,
well, what about the rest of the cast?
MK11, the announcers, the commentators are blown away when someone does what is called a micro duck. For those sitting at home, a micro duck is the first thing ever created in fighting game history, where you quickly duck a high and then you rise and punish it. The Mortal Kombat community would have you believe that in games like Tekken, when you duck a high and do a while standing move, that you duck and stand there for 30 seconds and slowly rise.
Look, I hate to say this, but honestly, Tom, you're being biased.
No,
we get you like MK9 more, but
it's not about it. God damn it, Rio! It's not about MK9. The footsies are equal. Rio,
they're not equally as bad. MK11 is obviously more footsie based.
We did a podcast in which they asked you which game you would rather play, and even you said MK9. Why? Because it's
yes, but that doesn't mean that doesn't mean I think MK9 has the best footsies. That's
all their footsies are equally fucked.
That just means out of all NRS games, I have the most fun with MK9, not because of footsies. You think I play MK9 because of footsies? So
despite all their games are equally.
Wait. Do you think I got into MK9 because of footsies?
Rio,
is that what you're saying?
All their games are equally.
Did I get into MK9 because of footsies?
All their games are equally fucked for footsies. They are equally fucked.
Tom, the argument's not equally fucked. The argument is what games are. Look, games have better in certain areas. What game has the best archetypes? Obviously, Injustice. What game has the best footsie meta? Obviously, MK11. What game has the best offense? Obviously, MKX. Right? They all have their own pros and cons.
Man. I mean, if you think a flight simulator means footsies, it's.
Oh yeah, and Kung Lao was in a flight simulator. Kung Lao was
MK9, where the character.
Tom, you played.
No,
Kung Lao?
not every character's Kung Lao and MK.
You played Kung Lao to avoid playing footsies against Kenshi because you knew it was useless, and at least you could teleport through the air so that you could actually get in and start some.
I mean, the footsies are equally fucked. The footsies are.
I think Dave had good questions that he was asking us. I don't know why this got blown out of proportion.
Well, again, I can I finally say something? I've been trying.
Because there's no middle ground with Rio.
It's
what middle ground? I'm just keeping it 100%. Like I'm not. I'm no bias.
Flight simulator is footsies. Yeah.
May I say something?
MK11's a flight simulator. When MK9 had the most aerial characters ever.
And Rio, you both need to shut up. Let other people speak. Thank you. First of all, the question was not about footsies.
This is why I don't want to get into this, because we ask a question and no one's going to get to goddamn answer it. This is so fucking stupid how we get into this fucking
Tom, you got to let people speak.
We get into this shit every fucking podcast, man.
Let me speak, please.
I don't want to answer it anymore, so you guys can speak.
Well, you have been answering it for the past 10
No,
minutes.
I didn't get to answer it because we're stuck on this dumb shit.
You always
we're stuck on this dumb shit.
Tom, will you
go ahead, man. Continue the podcast, man. Go ahead, guys. Go ahead, man.
Tom, you always fall into these semantic arguments that
whatever. I mean, I'm over it, man.
Tom, let me talk. You always fall into these semantic arguments that Rio sets up for you, and I think.
Can you stop saying I set up these traps and shit? I'm just trying to discuss the game. Like, just stop. This whole hidden agenda shit. Tom, look. I'm not trying to set you up into anything. I'm just discussing. No, because Dave relied on him saying that I sit here waiting to set up into traps. What are you talking about?
This was the original question. The question was not about footsies. The question that you originally asked was about the meta. And by the way, yes,
the only reason we got to the footsie topic was because Zyphox was answering the question, then Zyphox were footsies, and then we talked about it. It was a natural conversation.
What you should be criticizing is literally the elephant in the room, which is the game. We all know what it's about. It's about jump kick, your low poke, mid string, whatever, mid poke, whatever you want to call it, and throw. That's what you should be criticizing about. And guess what? 95% of people will agree with you. You're falsely getting, whether it's intentional or not, getting into these ridiculous arguments that.
Hey, what are you, his attorney? What is this right now? What am I listening to right now? What are you, his lawyer?
Let me finish my point. You ranted. Let me rant now. Tom, that's the point that you should be making. I can't believe you.
I made that. I said a game in which you cannot stop jump kicks is not the definition of neutral.
Of course, it's not, and everybody knows it's not. Only an idiot will make those arguments.
Okay, so let me get this straight. You're saying in MK9, you could. There's no character that could jump all over you, right? No, I just want to make it clear.
All games for different reasons, man.
I'm not talking about MK9. I'm talking about MK11.
Okay, the reason why I'm talking about MK9 is because Tom brought it up. Just so you know,
MK11 to me is not about footsie. It's about down one. Whatever your low poke is, it's about your mid string, it's about the jumping kick, and it's about your.
So MK11 is all about close then. It sounds more offensive based than MKX then.
No,
I'm sorry. Like,
so MKX is more footsie based in this game.
Again, that's a false.
who can't play footsies and is just doing down one and throw.
And jump
How are
kick?
they
Who the
gonna
fuck are
beat
they gonna beat?
somebody like
Who are these
Kombat
people that are winning these tournaments just doing
Or
pokes and
Kerbal who
again,
jumpers?
actually play footsies? They're gonna
Look,
get
look at the
10-0.
characterization here. Look at the characterization here. Again, Tom. Again, you have to pay attention to the way these arguments are worded. You know, they literally Rio is literally.
Dave, you
saying-
can speak to all of us as a group. We're not. It's not us versus you and Tom. Can you stop making it be out like that? You're making it seem like you guys are in this cubicle.
The game that has a run button, tons of 50-50 mix up pressure. And
Apparently, that's more footsie based because MK11's
I
all
never
down ones
said
and jump
anything
kicks.
like that. Again, you're mincing words, putting words into my argument.
Dave,
You
you
said-
literally just said that. Wait. Okay, just to be clear, you literally just said 5 minutes ago, so I'm not making this up, that MK11 is just only jump kicks, pokes, and throws. That sounds like a 100% up close game that you cannot do anything else but pokes, jump kicks, and throws. Entire game,
Actually,
entire
along
second
with
of
You
every
just
match.
said Sub-Zero was only Ice Ball and Clone. Like there's no other move in there.
No, I
it's the
said
same
just
thing.
doing ice clones and ice balls against Freddy is not what
That's
I
not all
consider
that you do, though.
footsies.
I mean, the meta. Look, the neutral in both of those games.
Tom, dude, you said before that there's not much you can do against Freddy. You have to just prey on random ice balls. Like, what are you
That's not
talking
what I
about?
said.
Okay, so how do you play the matchup against Freddy then if you don't do ice balls?
God,
What do you do?
Don't get baited into this argument.
You rush him down. You're playing MKX then,
I
right?
mean, the
the
thing
argument
is,
is that MK11
the neutral in both games is highly questionable for different reasons.
The
Neither
neutral in
one,
every NRS game is
I would
highly
not
questionable.
I would not say that either one of those games is focused on footsies. That is not the focus.
Dude,
in
I hope
either
they
game.
remaster MK9 next year or whatever,
Well,
so that way everybody
how
can
did-
enjoy these footsies that
I
come.
didn't say the game was
Let-
about
let
footsie.
How did
I
You
will
said it's
not-
you said it's the most
Gotta
footsie
let
based NRS
Crimson
game.
speak,
You
guys.
said it's the most
How did-
footsie based
no.
NRS game.
Like,
Gotta
how
let
did,
Crimson go ahead.
how did Sonic beat Tekken Master? Was it jump kick and down one, or did he play neutral and whip punish?
He was playing footsies and neutral, obviously,
Okay,
and reads.
so don't say that doesn't work. I mean, obviously we know. Listen, it's a balance, right? Like there are certain things which are very frustrating to play against. Those things have been in every game, but I think overall the neutral is what it is, and that doesn't mean you have to like the meta. You can just be honest about it.
It's so
There are other things you
amazing
don't
how
like.
when you have two characters that eliminate everything that people hate about the game, that all of a sudden it becomes this neutral fest where you don't worry about breakaway, you don't worry about the wake up system or all this other nonsense, then it's about neutral. What about the other 90% of the cast that has to worry about this shit? Then
Wait,
it's a straight free for all.
Cetrion eliminates jumping. No, she
Didn't,
doesn't.
didn't you just say that Dragon said that he can't win because people just jump at him all day? So how does she
that's
play?
not
How
the
does she
reason
force
why there
footsies?
was no jumping in that match. It's
Okay.
just-
Yeah, I think
this
we're
is the point.
being-
So
we're
we
being
have Rio and
hypocritical right
Crimson
now.
Shadow who say jumping is not a problem in MK11.
No, we're just going off by what
That's
you're
fine.
saying. You told us that Dragon
Here's
can't
the-
play
here's the
MK11
thing.
because
I
Citron
mean,
can't do anything
there's a
against
lot of
jumping.
miscommunication.
Agree to,
How is she
agree
playing
to
footsies then if she
disagree.
can't do
We
anything against
disagree.
jumping?
Move on. Agree to
this is where-
disagree, man.
If Citron can't do anything against
let me-
jumping, how is she playing
This is
footsies?
where-
Okay, jumping's not a problem in MK11.
But here, listen. This,
No, we're saying what you said that he said.
listen.
It
This
either is or it isn't a problem.
This is why these discussions don't go anywhere. Because the thing is, we might actually agree on some stuff, but you don't have to make one extreme point to make.
We
the
don't
other. Like,
agree. You two don't believe
No,
jumping is
listen,
an issue in
listen.
MK11.
no.
We just
listen,
agreed to
No,
disagree.
that's not what
Let
we
me
said at
finish.
all. I don't know why you're
How
painting it to
can
be
it be
that
a
way.
neutral game if
Let
jumping's
me
a
finish.
problem? This
Where-
doesn't
where-
make any sense.
I
So
agree
you're
with
saying
Tom.
neutral can't
Let-
exist? You're
hold
saying
on.
neutral can't exist if
Guys,
there's
I gotta
jumping?
let you talk.
Let me
Otherwise,
finish.
we might as well
Let me
call it
finish.
quits.
Let Crimson finish and then let me talk.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, I would actually agree with you that dealing with jump ins is not as strong as it should be. However, we don't need to say there's no neutral because clearly there's neutral.
I didn't say there was no neutral.
The neutral isn't like whatever you said it is. Like, yeah, okay, you can cherry pick a few situations out of any game where playing the neutral is crazy because you have to play against the Kung Lao or whatever.
Are we
But
really just
overall-
saying cherry-picking MK11?
overall in this game, both of those are true. Like, neutral is very strong. No one who just does jump kick and down one is beating anybody.
That's not what I said.
Yeah, and you can also say at the same time that possibly jump kicks, hitboxes should be toned down. It should be fair to say both of those things. Like, then we can agree and move on.
Zyphox, be impartial here. I said the neutral in both games is compromised for different
Listen,
reasons. Is that a fact?
No, that's not.
hold on.
If you said that, I would have never argued with you. You said
I said
MK9
they're
is the
both
footsie
fucked for
game.
two different reasons. They're both.
Yeah,
No,
he-
you said
he was
MK9
trying to
is the
say
most
that.
footsie game.
Listen, this is I agree with Tom to an extent, and this is why I mean when you compare MK9 to MK11, one obviously was criticized for their jab anti-airs, which is MK9. You could hardly jump against real good players, unless of course you were a certain character. In MK11, it seems like most characters can kind of get away with jumping, and because this is a 2D game, you're eliminating really one way of being able to deal with a person almost as a get out of jail free card once they get into a certain range. Whenever you're in jumping range, you instantly become aware of the person being able to jump into a situation. Takes your focus away from being able to play footsies in the neutral, and the best players can overcome that, but not everybody can. MK9, most of the time you could react to the jump, jab, anti-air, and people wouldn't even try it. You're really playing footsies. That's what Tom Brady is saying. But I don't think the MK9 specifically has a better neutral than MK11, because a lot of the characters literally took away the option of even trying to play neutral. More than MK11 does, because of the way that their specials work. Like, for example, Kenshi, Freddy, Cabal, just to name a few.
Sonya down 4, like
yeah,
so much shit.
Yeah, like even characters were using pokes to eliminate neutral, like Sonya, and Melina. There's a lot of these things, and it was like, yeah, the movement was great. You were able to have flexible freedoms and stuff like that, and anti-airs were great. So that aspect of movement, a combination with anti-airs, made it feel better. And I can definitely agree with that, but objectively, I will give it to MK11 based on the fact that there isn't as much bullshit in neutral in MK11 versus MK9.
In my opinion, again, I'll just try to be a little more less whatever about this. Both neutrals are compromised for different reasons. If you want to look at it and say MK9 compromised neutral more because you had more characters that had more things that compromised it, to me, that's more of an indictment on MK11. MK11 is not more quote-unquote neutral-based because it's done better. It's more neutral-based because they forgot to give characters half of the tools they need.
Exactly.
Otherwise,
exactly.
So in reality, MK9 still wins out because it's like, well, it has all these tools.
We're not trying to justify.
But it's like they're both compromised for different reasons. At the end of the day, one is more enjoyable because you at least get to do stuff.
Depends who you talk to about more enjoyable.
That was never a question. I agree with you, Tom. Though I agree with you.
And I'm not saying MK9 is this great game. MK9 is 10 ways from like sideways, man. But like in general, they're both compromised for different reasons. And I think any argument that praises MK11 for giving characters nothing as a plus is a fraudulent argument. And
there was no argument that why do you word things in certain... Wait. I'm getting sick of this shit. Why do you word things and then completely change everything around to make it seem... I never said MK11 was praised to be this and that. That was never the original argument. Stop putting words in my mouth. Stop twisting shit up. What I said was, out of all the earnest games that they put out, the best footsie and read game they put out is MK11. Just because you cannot stand that fact and it makes you just not want to play the game ever again, that's not my fault. Blame NRS for making the game that way.
Then I will use your words to say that MK11 has the best neutral as any MK.
I said best footsies and best reads.
The best footsies of any NRS game as a way of rewarding them for putting less in the game. So by default,
nobody is rewarding them. Why do you think saying game has good footsies is rewarding? Do you think people? Honest question.
Because
do you think people give a shit about footsies?
Why to Zyphox?
Do you think I care about footsies? Do you think I play more Kombat games because of footsies?
I want to ask you this: can you not argue that MK11 has the best footsies of any NRS game because they simply put less in the game for the majority of the characters?
I mean, that's exactly the reason as to why it is the better footsies.
So then, by Rio, you are complimenting MK11.
I'm not complimenting the game, dude. I'm saying that
you are
So okay, hold on. I want to get this straight. So when I say MKX has the best offense, Oki, this and that, am I complimenting the game? Am I giving it props? Am I saying good shit when I say that?
You are, whether you like.
When I say MKX has the best offense, best
whether
Oki,
you
best
like
50-50s, am I complimenting the game? Am I complimenting the game?
You are complimenting MK11 out of all three NRS games.
Okay, and you know what? Whenever you say Citron and Jackie is fine at a good power level, you're complimenting the game and NRS. So stop saying that if you want to stop giving them props.
I am complimenting NRS on their power.
So I'm going to ask you right now, is Citron and Jackie fine? Are they fine?
Yes.
I want to know.
Yes.
So you're complimenting NRS for saying Jackie and Citron is fine. What the fuck is this argument?
Can we
it's the stupidest shit I've ever heard in my life.
Move on to the next topic, please? I think
I think we can come to a point where we can agree on certain things, right? Like, it doesn't have to be these extreme points. We know what the stuff is in the middle. Like part of the reason why this game plays around footsies is not just because they quote forgot stuff or whatever. It's because they took things out that play footsies for you. They took out the run button. They took out these strings from MKX where it's like you'd have to be a fool to whip them because the string literally goes 50% screen. You know, like that's why. And that doesn't mean that there shouldn't be more to deal with jump kicks or like any of these other issues, right? They're two separate points. I think we can at least agree on that and move on.
I agree. Here's a question to everybody. If we're gonna wrap it up with this topic, which I hope catches everybody. I hope the audience finds it entertaining and interesting and informative. If MK11 does not receive any more patches, hypothetically speaking, and I sometimes do hate these questions, but I think Tom has an interesting point here. If the game does not receive any more patches, or at least a meta gaming shift, what will the game's legacy be like, Zyphox?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question?
If the game doesn't receive any more patches or any more content, what will MK11's legacy be like? How will the game be? How will the game go down in history?
I think that unfortunately, because we don't know the future of how everything is going to turn out. Because of how COVID is right now, when people go back, right? I don't know. People who have played multiple titles, they always have like this, like, oh, how did you do in these games offline or whatever the case may be, right? You can talk to Slayer. He's placed in like all the games, right? And I've placed in like Injustice and Mortal Kombat. I've placed in a couple games too. And so when you go go to MK11, you only have one solid year, barely a year, where you can say that offline tournaments mattered and whatever. So has nothing to do with MK11. It's just going to be on there as part of its legacy that, half of the game's life, according to like right now, wasn't it being able to play how every other game was played offline, right? Then you're going to have the legacy of the game itself, outside of its meta, outside of its balance, was a really good one. We got all the DLC that we can ask in terms of characters. A lot of people got their favorite characters. We got Melina back. Story DLC. Like, this is a groundbreaking Mortal Kombat game and a groundbreaking fighting game. One of the best fighting games ever made, in my opinion, from the development standpoint. Not necessarily fun factor or meta. But with that said, we're gonna again see how the meta progressed in the 2 years that we played, and we're gonna see that in hindsight, it really didn't progress that much because of its lacking factors, which was, I don't know, like freedom and nuance in past games that allowed for more freedom and creativity. There was too many universal mechanics in this game to try and balance things out. A lot of the balance issues in past games were because for every situation, a character came up and they had their own answer to everything. They had their own wake up. So because of that, you've made that universal. It changed an entire like dimension of which you can like balance a character. Once you make that type of stuff universal, or even closest possible to universal, right? Because some characters had different properties on their up to in this game, for example. Then all this like cascading like changes kind of like let us know that sorry. Sorry, I literally was almost choking there. And let us know that this game's not as fun as the other games, basically. Like, I just had a brain fart. My bad.
It's all right. Thank you for commenting. Rio, what do you think?
This is such an easy question to answer because I've seen the same song and dance 4 times already. But MK11's legacy will be the same as every other MK game. It's broken, super imbalanced, it had so much potential, and it was one patch away from being perfect. And
So you think it's in the same camp as MK9, MKX?
they said the same shit about the past 4 games. They were broken, they had so much potential, they were one patch away from being perfect. Same shit.
All right, Crimson, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some things that stand out about this game as being good that are different. I think the game is very like fundamentally based, which we've all seen is polarizing. But I think, as Rio said, like whatever you think about the meta, it's hard to name a game out of all the games we've had that isn't polarizing, and that when we were playing it, didn't have people saying either, "Yo, this game needs an overhaul" or one more patch, or "Gee, I'm really happy that the next game is coming out because then we can drop this game and move to that one." So listen, this situation that we're in right now, we were here with Injustice 2. I remember all these memes like,
It's the 5th time it's happening. It's already happened 4 times.
like, yo, Injustice 2 is dead. And before that, it was like, yo, MKX is dead, but good thing Injustice 2 is coming out.
Before that was MK's come back and Justice 1 is dead. It's the same song and dance every 2 years.
However, I will say that this is the first time where the community hasn't had another game coming out. So, like it or not, this is the first time where we're in a situation where it's deal with it, right? Either get off the bus or keep playing, voice your opinions, say what you think, ask for what you want, but you're not getting another game. Not this year, probably not next year. It's going to be a while. So, listen, if you ask me today, right now, I would say if it ended right now and we had a new game, it would be literally the same as all the other games that we've had. It's polarizing. Some people like it. Some people hate it. People will probably come back in 2 or 3 years and talk about it differently than they talk about it today. But we have a chance for the legacy to be different. And I sincerely hope that this community takes advantage of it.
All right, Tom.
We have no chance for anything. This game is doomed from now forward because unfortunately the game will be known for a community who'd rather be right with their opinion than do what's right for the fucking game. That's what it'll be known for.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, it's more about people's opinions being right and arguing just to be right, which we see through the whole course of the game. Even a character like Cetrion, who from people, I hear this every day, which goes back to Rio's point. Every MK game, something is an obvious problem. Community says it's fine, only one person's winning with it, or this or that. It goes untouched. And then end of the game, instead of it's fine, remember how broken that was? Can you believe it never got touched? It's not like we said it was fine for the first year because nobody's, but one person's doing well with it. It's every game. It's about people they stick to a certain point, and regardless how obvious the point is wrong, they'd much rather stick to it. And, my original opinion was everything was fine, and I'm going to stick to it, and I'm going to argue it until the end of the game. But when the next game comes out, I'm then going to go back and say what a joke that game was, even though for the life of the game, I argue to the contrary.
Who is actually doing that?
It's every game. Rio will tell you every game.
Saying who is actually saying it's just fine, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine, and it's going to turn coat. Like, who are you talking about?
Everyone, the entire community.
But
the community.
I think he's talking about. I think he's talking about how right now everyone's looking at MKX as it was this amazing, cool, in-depth, oaky combo. We need to go back.
It's a pattern to Rio.
Everybody who bitched about MKX back then is now looking back only MKX. That's our game, bro. If we have Evo, we need to have that game.
Rio left a part out of the pattern. The pattern is actually game comes out. We talk about how it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. Anyone that has any criticism, like, hey, are you sure it's the balance is good and this is good and that's good and the neutral's good? It's fine. It's fine. Level up. Get good. You don't think this is a little too much? Who's winning with him? One person? It's fine. A whole game is that. And then the next game comes out. Remember that game was shit, man. There was no neutral. There was no footsies. Everything was broken. Can you believe people actually said?
Actually, the meta's changed, Tom. It's actually opposite them. Now, when the next game comes out, they look back at the last game as it was the best shit ever.
Then the new game comes out, and then the previous game was shit for all these reasons, and the new game is the greatest thing. By the end of that newest game, then the new game they were playing is shit, and the old game was actually the greatest thing. So you missed that part of the matter.
Dude, I'm gonna die when you guys have to read all the MK11 was so good in God years from now when we're playing a new game.
Injustice 2, you guys did podcasts about why does everybody hate the game? Everybody
no shit. There was podcasts about that with MKX too. Like, why does everybody hate MKX?
Out, they were like, God, thank God we got MK. Injustice 2 was terrible.
No shit.
I was going to say about that.
People don't understand. We lived through 5 of these eras.
Yo,
with these,
I have
every
game.
What's so funny?
Nothing's gonna change.
And MK11, now we're like, God, Injustice 2 was so good. MKX is so good. When Injustice,
dude, imagine saying that though. Like back then.
Injustice 2 came out, MK11 was like, this game is shit. I mean, MKX is shit. No one wants to play that game. This game is garbage. I mean, like, it never
You know why that happens, though, right?
Because people realize how much they like something when they're forced to play it. So if MK right
No.
now was on everybody's plate and they had to eat that shit every day, Zyphox, guess what? A lot of people would be throwing up.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's because you're not emotional at the time of when you remember, like, you had the memories of the game, right? You're not at an emotional state, at least in towards of negativity. People lose, right? And eventually they get sour with why they lose. And they have all these. If you're the type of person to blame everything but yourself, you're going to carry that into your opinion of the game. And so that's
100%.
that mindset carries over to when you talk about the game. You start talking about it in the real time, and it's like, this game is shit. But 4 years from now, you're gonna remember that, oh, dude, fuck, man, this game kind of had like
Lost Block was a
some
sick
fucking-
mechanic. You
Bro,
could customize
dude.
your characters. Whoa, yo.
I mean, in
Dude,
reality,
like,
I
you
wouldn't go
should
back
be,
and
Have the
play.
potential.
crushing- like, dude,
I wouldn't
this
go back and play
meta
MK11
was
now.
ridiculous.
But I think Zyphox, part of that is because if you know you're getting a new game after 2 years, what is the penalty for completely burning down to the ground the game that you're playing? Right?
None.
Right,
At worst, you gotta wait a year and a half, a year, and then you got a new game. You know,
exactly.
I mean, if we were like these Street Fighter players, or some of them have had to wait literally 5
A
years,
decade almost.
5 years
Mhm.
to play the play style that they want, or for their
Exactly.
character to be good.
That's
Like, we
you
never
hit it
had to
nail
do
on the
that.
head.
Yeah.
That's nail on the head right there, bro. My style was Injustice 1. I knocked you down and you had no chance.
Well, see,
No
this is the whole
chance.
thing, and we kind of talked about this earlier off podcast. But if you notice, every fighting game has different cultures. Like the MK culture for our games is completely different than the Smash culture for their games, and so on. Like for example, Melee has 9-1 matchups. Our games have 9-1 matchups. The difference is in Melee, nobody gives a shit if you crap out a 9-1 matchup. In our game, everybody praises you. They roll the carpet on your feet, going like, "Oh my god, you lost a 9-1 matchup, yo, dude, you're so much better than that guy." You know, they pat you on the back and everything. Fighting games have different cultures. It's just how
But
it is. Our
we
game.
didn't start that way. And I want Krim to, because Krim actually brought this up a long time ago, that it didn't used to be that way. In MK9 and even in Justice 1, there was a certain point where you just accepted it is what it is, and you found ways around it. And a lot of times people did find things to do.
Hell
But,
yeah.
but at a certain point, the culture shifted in the MK community from what it used to be, and people would get regulated, to, you know what, that guy got carried, you got cheated. And then it became, you know what, he beat me with fireballs, he did cheat me, you know what,
Yeah.
all he did was mid command grabs all day, he did cheat
That's
me.
the thing.
And
Back
that's what
then, a
happened.
win was a win, and you had to earn it. But now it's like when you lose, it's never your fault. You lost because that Jade was down to you, scrubbed
The
you out.
opponent
It
has
didn't
no
count. You didn't actually
fundamental,
lose.
you know, whatever
Exactly.
kind of
Yeah.
stuff
It's just
we
different
have,
culture.
yeah.
Different culture.
Yeah, and
But-
Tom, I think
Completely different
I
culture.
think that's an important point, because as long as that exists, like, you and Dave will never get to play the way that you want to play, you know? And anyone who can play in a way that's unique, that's different from the rest of the cast, it'll get taken out within the first 3 to 4 months of the game. And I feel like we just can't keep going like this. You know, back in the day, for you to play a matchup that was hard, like, okay, you would get props if you won, but that was like the badge of honor. It wasn't just like, okay, you might grumble a bit that this matchup sucks, but the reason you
They
were
were
grinding
winnable.
is because you generally thought if you beat this person, like, you were gonna get all the props in the world. You know what I mean? And now it got to a point where we were like,
You get props for losing.
I don't
dude.
wanna-
Like, what happened, bro?
Bro.
I don't want to grind it. Just take it out of the game.
Yeah, it's
And
like I don't want to grind it. Why? Because they're not playing fair. They're being carried by spamming these projectiles. They're being carried by running away from me. They're being
Yeah, this
carried
character
by
breaks the
haven't
rules
even
of the
created
Now
game.
your
it's
idea,
everything.
guys.
Did you read the comments on WePlay? If you read those comments, I said this in the video. If I was NetherRealm reading this and I was writing down what people don't want in a game,
Bro,
right? Like you would be.
you mentioned we play. Did you see people actually complaining about Sonya?
Yes, I read.
Isn't she bottom tier? Like, why are we crying about her?
I read what the comment said, and I wrote down if I.
Bro, the craziest thing was when did you see the match Bio versus Arm Kratos? I'm sorry, not Bio. It was Rewind
Yes,
versus
I
Arm
did
Kratos. He
see that.
switches to Kano. He starts literally ramming forward 1 back 2 in his face all game. The chat, instead of them going like, "Yo, that rush down, get hype," they're all like, "What the fuck? This Kano player's just doing one string. Why does he keep doing the same string? Wow, this guy's no skill."
Yeah.
It's like, dude, this is insane.
Yeah.
There's no winning. There's
I
no
wrote
winning.
this. Maybe I'll put the picture on Twitter. I wrote down. I said I'm going to pretend to be NetherRealm, and I'm going to write down what this chat doesn't want. This chat doesn't want runaway, zoning. They don't want too much offense, but don't want too much runaway on top of that. No command grabs. That can't be a thing. Wants you to play offense, but only a certain way. If you play it offense by ramming advantage down somebody's throat, by poking and backdashing, that's no good. If I was NetherRealm, I would write down, by the time I was done, I would be like, they don't want anything. They want a game that has an action button, and you just hit that button and moves randomly come out. Because they don't want anything. They don't want.
Listen, everybody's used to being a winner, okay, in their own universe. This is why this is a problem. Everybody's so used to wanting to be the winner that this goes right out the window.
You
What
have
you're
to
just
earn it
saying right
too.
now.
It can't be given to you by
But
saying,
that's
"I'm
what they
sorry,
want.
friend. Oh, this is hard for
They
you.
want a
Let's take it
chance.
away so you don't have to deal with that."
Bro, whenever they feel cheated because they never got a chance to do what they wanted to do to you, and so they feel cheated out of that. This is very low level, like caveman thinking. We shouldn't even be
Dude,
discussing this. I have an even
Mortal
crazier
Kombat
idea.
All I know is going into
Hold on.
WePlay, I never thought I would see the chat cry about Kano and
Hold on,
Sonya.
I
Kombat
have an
community.
even crazier.
Well, I,
Sorry.
mean, I have this analogy somebody put on Twitter. Once somebody said the Mortal Kombat community is the guy that fights Mike Tyson and complains that it's not fair because he gets to use his hands. So they tie his hands behind his back. They still lose and complain because then he got to use his feet. So then they want to fight Mike Tyson where he can't use his hands or his feet. And if they win, they want to say they have more fundamentals. That is the Mortal Kombat community.
Yes, but that's what's even crazy is that I brought up the caveman thinking of low level players. It's actually also the thinking of high level players, and I'll prove it to you right now. Look at how many different characters the top level players play. Not every single person in the top 8 and in the We Play in general had multiple characters that they use. Why? Because they're not going to be subject to playing losing matchups. Why would you put yourself knowingly in a disadvantage? That comes with this entire gratification, instant gratification, crying about metas, players, moves, etc. That's where it's derived from, and they're actually evolved from it. That's why every single player uses multiple characters. This is the exact reason.
Yeah, but there was also a time where characters were so unique and so individual that even though you had 10 characters, you could say, you know what? I'm not going to get into a counterpick war. I have worked so hard in all 10 of these matchups, I can beat all 10 of yours with just my one.
Exactly.
Well, that was
And-
done by 2 years in the MK9. We passed
but
that point
that was
when
done
everyone
by
had a
hard-
Kinchi or a
But that was done
Cyrax
by
on
hard
live.
work. I'm going to know more than you. I'm going to be more
Exactly.
comfortable than you. I'm going to know what you do before
Exactly.
you
But,
do
but
it.
let me ask you something. How much more efficient training can you do? Right. If we're actually taking total amount
Times
of hours
1,000.
trained.
Times
Exactly.
1,000 today.
Hold on. Right. How much more efficient training can you do when you're working on a matchup where you're already at an advantage versus a disadvantage? You'd have to put an exponential amount more hours into working out a tough matchup than it is for an easy one. The more advantage matchups that you play, your percentage of games won is just going to be straight up linear higher. That's all that's going to happen. That's why they're doing this. It's just math at this point. You play the advantage matchups as often as you can, and you use your training efficiently, right? Because it doesn't even matter if you're not training for the right reasons. Your training is going to go nowhere. You can put as much hours as you want. So your efficiency goes straight into working your best matchups. Whenever you play them, it's going to be way more efficient than trying to work out a matchup at all. You're going to waste a lot of hours, and that's what they've
That's
learned.
true.
Ask anybody.
But nowadays, because characters have so little, because you
Exactly.
can't be individual, they don't have to train as hard because they can say, I don't even have to train against half the cast. Because I automatically beat them. I have to train against these characters. And what I do against these characters, I can just apply them to these characters. But characters used to be so unique and so individual. A character can be middle of the low tier, and you still have to lab against that, even though your character should win 7-3. That doesn't exist today because those kind of characters, you'd say, oh, even though I should win, that character, they cheated me. They lamed me out. They command grabbed me. They spammed fireballs. That's the only reason why they won. Literally, it doesn't matter what you do, whether it's offense, defense, whatever. People are just saying, I don't like something that beats me. So they slowly tried to get as much of what people was beating people out of Mortal Kombat because people complained about it. People that are losing to fireballs, zoning shouldn't be into the game. People that are losing to offense shouldn't be in the game. People that lose to command grabs think command grabs shouldn't be in the game. And now we have a game where people don't want too much offense, they don't want defense, they don't want fireballs, they don't want command grabs. Well, we have nothing left.
Yeah, I think that's the more important point because look, everybody counterpicks. I mean, they did the same thing when Ultra Street Fighter came out.
In every game.
All these people started playing Elena and Eva Ryu and stuff like that. But the better point is, what does it do to the game? And I don't think it's positive. And this community in particular has known. They're probably one of the only communities who have known that they were close enough. They felt close enough, at least to the devs, that they actually might have a chance of getting something they didn't like taken out, like in the next patch. And when we take everything out that someone doesn't like, then what are you left with? You get exactly what you asked for, which is all the crazy stuff, all the stuff that was super fun to watch and exciting and stuff like that gets taken out. So I think moving forward, if we talk about like where do we go from here, if people want a different game, they have to change their attitudes. They have to be more accepting of things that are difficult to play against, and they have to be more accepting of characters that play different than other characters. It can't be any more, this breaks the rules of the game, this breaks footsies, whatever, you know?
Yeah, but also give our characters some fucking
Hold
moves,
on, hold on.
bro.
This whole premise. I mean,
Yeah. Real quick, I wouldn't blame every low level player or high level player. I think it's you have specifically people like examples, but the thing is, like, let's say someone says MK11 shit, right? You don't really learn anything from that person. The best way I learn something about somebody is, let's say someone comes to my stream, I'll ask them, I'll be like, hey, what's your favorite NRS game? And then instantly, what answer they give me forms an opinion I have about them. Oh, they like Injustice? Okay. Oh, they like MKX? Oh, they like MK9? Okay. So I think more people need to be asking people, what is your favorite NRS game? Because when people say, this game is shit, I hate it, you learn nothing about them. But when you ask people, hey, what is your favorite NRS game? Oh, you like Injustice? Then you get so much information from them. So I think it's like, we need to start
But they'll
getting
like
more information from
Injustice,
people than saying
hold on, hold
they'll
on.
say I like Injustice, and you'll pick Zod, and they'll go, I hate Injustice.
Hold on,
You know
hold
what I
on.
mean? So, I mean,
Hold
it's-
on. This whole
Yeah, but-
mentality of blaming the community. I mean, it's
dude, nobody's blaming anybody, dude. I just said
guys,
you don't.
You guys have
What? No. Okay, stop saying you guys. Look,
hold on a minute. You have your chance to talk, all of you. Now it's my fucking turn.
yes, but can you be accurate about it? No
I
one's
will word
blaming
it
the
the way
community.
I
We're saying
perceive
that
it. If you have a problem with it, you
specific
can come after
people.
I'm done. The point is this, guys, meaning guys in the community, you've done nothing wrong, okay? Games have become more balanced, different, all the games. Maybe Smash is an exception. I don't know enough to comment on it. I can comment on Tekken and Street Fighter. They've become significantly more balanced. There's a distinction between Third Strike's matchups with Chun-Li and Evil Ryu's matchup in Super Street Fighter 4, right?
absolutely.
Clear distinction, very clear distinction. It's not your fault. People complain about Panda when Ranchu won that one Tekken World Series. People complain about everything. The question is, what do the developers do? And that's what I want you guys in the community to focus on. Is it sometimes your fault? Yes, it is. But ultimately, you don't decide the game. You don't put a gun to anybody sitting there. So this is the way that I want the game. And I hate to use that analogy. It's not your fault. And I know many people in the community are going to want to blame you constantly. It's your fault. You're biased. No, it's not. Okay? It's none of your fault. Okay? Sometimes it is, but mostly it's not. People want to push that agenda because they don't want to hold NRS accountable. NRS is accountable for the game that they make. They are the ones making the game. Just like you're accountable for your actions, the words that you use. They are accountable. It's not your fault. Don't let anybody ever tell you otherwise.
And I actually agree
This
with
is the
that.
most pointless discussion. What does this even
I
do?
agree
Okay,
with
so you
that.
blame NRS. Now what? Now what? Okay, we blamed NRS, Dave. Now what do you want us to do? What's phase 2?
Well,
Do we
that's
blame
not
them
what I
again next
literally-
day or what?
Well, we didn't blame it because that's
Who blamed the community?
You literally did for the past 30 minutes.
We said it's the culture, dude. And also,
All
if
the
you didn't hear what I
culture
said,
is the
I
same.
said I wouldn't say it's every low-level player and high-level player.
Can I
said
just
it's every
ask,
individual
all the
person.
culture-
Every
What
individual
is it
person.
that-
So
Mostly
what
for
is it
every
that we're
fighting game
blaming
community.
NRS for exactly?
we're blaming NRS for why every game that we've gotten sucks. That's basically it.
All the
Oh.
this whole let's blame the culture, right? Because again, it's guys.
That is the culture,
Tom,
though.
you
That
should
is
know
the
better.
culture.
You've
The
been longer
culture
than
is
I
what it is
have.
right now.
You've been Tom. You know this. All the games have changed. The culture is
They have.
mostly the same for all these fighting games.
Not
the
really.
balance
I wouldn't say the culture is the same for every
all
fighting
the
game. It's
games
pretty
have
different.
become more balanced throughout the years. That just
Dave, go play Smash Melee and then cry that you can't win with Bowser. No one's gonna give a shit. Do
I-
it because you think every culture is the
enough,
same. It's not.
I can't. Again, I mostly speaking from Tekken and from a Street Fighter perspective, and I know for a fact that those games.
Okay, so don't say every culture. Say Tekken and Street Fighter culture,
Well,
which
I'm
I don't
talking
care about
about-
because I don't play
Again,
Tekken
I'm
and Street
talking about the
Fighter.
traditional fighting games that I used to play back in the arcade. So that's again, I'm speaking strictly with that perspective, and I think it's okay to use those games as an example, considering they're arguably the most played aside from Smash, Street Fighter, and Tekken. I think that's as old school as you can probably get along with MK, and I'm using those games as an example,
Mhm.
and I'm going to continue using those games.
Did you not listen to what I said earlier? When Zyphox or whoever mentioned it's low level players, or whatever, I said we necessarily shouldn't say it's every low level player or high level player. I said I base everybody individually. Did you miss that part? So where did I lump everybody together?
I didn't even use your name at all. I said you guys, meaning every single one.
You just said you guys. I
Yeah,
didn't
I
say
think that
every player is.
you
It's
used the
everybody. Every player's
again,
fault.
You use the word culture to I think
Culture is like the current, like what you see happening.
Again,
Most,
I'm
what people
telling
are
you-
saying right now. The culture is a lot of people don't
Yeah,
like the game. They hate it.
well,
They hate the
for a reason,
zoning. They
it's
hate how
not
there's
their
no
fault.
combos.
It's not their
They hate
fault.
the balance. Is that not part of the culture? Like, can we not call it what it is?
No,
I
But
have
as
to
a
walk the
developer,
eggshells
if
again.
you truly believe that the people that you're trying to sell your product to don't want this in your product, they're going to mold their product to what they think the people who are your customers
No
want.
shit. Why
Exactly.
wouldn't the developers listen? Why
Yeah,
wouldn't
like,
they listen?
dude,
Everybody's
if I
saying
go
that they
to-
hate zoning.
If I
This
go
makes
to a
no sense.
restaurant and a chef makes me a meal and I get it and I'm like, I can't eat this, it's too salty. Can you make it with less salt? The chef is gonna make
Why
it
wouldn't
with
they
less
do that?
salt because they
Why
want to make
wouldn't
the
they do it?
customer happy.
Especially if you go there and eat every day and can constantly cry about it every day, going like this food is
We
shit.
would have a run button. Stop lying to the audience, please. If they actually listen, we would have a run button. And
No, Dave, you want to know why we wouldn't? Because NRS already has in their documents, in this cabinet secret in their office, they have the documents from MKX, and a lot of people back then said they hated Run. So again,
Yeah,
it goes both
they-
ways.
literally
everyone
said it in the
hated-
last podcast. That's literally what people. The most requested.
It was one of them, but it's not top three. Top three is what I just told you.
You
Top
literally-
three is balance, the annoying zoning, walking back lame style, and then combos. That's the top three right now.
Anyway,
not
I
running.
think we have a different perspective. I mostly from every fighting game. Well, every fighting game develop, I mostly hold them accountable first. Then I worry about.
Okay, so you're the person that blames the developers and whatever. There's some people like me, we don't even care about the developers or the players. We just talk about the game and
You're
discuss it. I don't know why we have to point our finger.
culture and the attitude of the community.
Dave,
while they're
the
trying-
culture is what it is. Like, why is it saying that right now the culture of MK11 community in America is that we hate the game and we'll let things change? Is that wrong?
Well, again, they hate the game.
So what you're saying is this: you're saying that we can't talk about the community or people, right? We just can't talk about them.
No,
we
of course you did. You did talk about
eggshells
I-
people, eggshells people. We
I
can't.
was
We can't
quiet
say.
for like 15, 20 minutes. You were talking about them. Now it's my turn to protect those people.
Right, and you're saying protecting who? Nobody's getting bashed, dude.
No, I'm protecting the community. You're bashing the community, saying the culture is wrong. What are you talking about? You're not bashing them.
I didn't say the culture's wrong. I'm telling you what their culture is. I didn't say it was right or wrong.
saying
I'm
is
talking
you're
about.
using
Because
them negative-
the Netherrealm has
Dave,
led to
how do you not talk for 20 minutes and don't listen to what anybody says? How do you do that?
Well, again, we have a
paying
different attitude of
customer-
perception.
the paying customer told the studio that makes the game, this is what
Dave.
we don't want. So the studio said, well, since you are the paying customer, I will give you the product that you are telling us you desire.
Yeah, because they asked for 10 wake-up options. Tom,
Yes,
stop.
but Dave is
I'm-
saying this. Dave is saying that it's the NRS's fault for listening to the players. They need to stop doing that because they're idiots. That's what Dave is saying. The developers are to blame. We should be flaming them every day instead of talking about the game's problems and continue to go that way. Because in my opinion, that does literally nothing.
Well,
It
I
adds more
had
fuel to the
rather
fire.
I had rather focus on the developers.
Yeah, you rather flame the developers, tweet them, say how much shit their game is, blah blah blah.
Again,
that
the
does.
verb is in the
Here's the
mouth.
thing, Dave. Everybody has their own mentality. Me, I've never out of any game I ever played flamed developers for it. Whether it's Dota, whether it's Hunt, whether it's any game out there. I think that's pointless and dumb.
I mean,
and
as a
petty.
developer,
think
you at
it's
least have to listen
pointless.
to a little bit of the community. You can't
Of
ignore
course
the
you do,
community
but I'm
altogether.
saying again, the facts don't add up together anyway. It's a pointless argument because if they actually listen to the community, we know we would have a run button. The games would be more.
Dave,
No,
MK11
it wouldn't,
literally is the
honestly.
product of what everybody asked over the years. Do you not understand
Dude,
it?
after-
What MK11 is what Injustice, MKX, MK9 failed to be.
After the amount that people complained about the run button in MKX, there's no way they would have put it in MK11. It was one of the most complained about things in the game.
Yes, and the offense and the 50-50s. Why do you think this game has barely any
And
50-50s?
even if I grant you that argument, then it's their job to make sure that the people that they're designing the game for find the game enjoyable.
Okay, so what you're saying is this. Ultimately, this is the answer then. I see where Dave's getting at. So what NRS needs to do is they need to be like Dota. This is what Dota does. Every month or 2 months, they do a patch that completely changes the game forever. Every month and 2 months, you come back to it, you're like, what is this? I don't know, it's a different game. You come back 2 months later, what is this? I don't know, it's a different game because they keep listening to players. So NRS should do this. Instead of them having their vision, they should every month or two release overhauls every single time, infinitely, so we never get bored and we can keep everything going. Is that what they should do?
No, that's not what I said.
Then what is the solution then? What would you suggest?
Take the consumer's advice into account, of course. But as a fighting game developer, they failed. And I know it hurts some people to say that because either...
Actually, they didn't fail. The game sold millions.
No, I'm not talking about...
That's probably why they're doing another one.
Well, that's fine. Of course it sold millions. It's a failure as far as the...
Fail to who? The 0.01% of players? That's who they failed?
Then then MK Deception was a success. I mean, do you want to...
Yeah, it was. It sold millions back then. Why wasn't it?
Of course I'm talking about gameplay-wise. I'm not talking about the sales. The sales of it. That's not even the argument. Again, that's... Why you would even diverge.
Dave, look, here's the thing. You have to be very clear because when you say MK11 is a failure and then you look at the numbers and how much it sold, it doesn't add up
at all throughout this whole podcast. Of course, I'm not referring to that. Again, I understand you need to bring up that argument to prove some kind of point, but that's not what I'm talking about.
No, because every MK game has sold millions.
I know.
It's not just an MK11 thing.
Of course, I'm not using that. I'm not even using tech.
My point is, I'm mad that we were actually having good conversation, then we went to this irrelevant talking point that doesn't help anybody. Blame the developers. Game is shit. They need to do something, but they can't do anything because they can't listen
to level up their ass. No, that's.
When did I say players' ass need to level up? You guys said that earlier. You guys said that the people crying about Jade zoning need to get good and shut the fuck up. That wasn't my words. That's what you and Tom said. Don't blame me. I didn't say that. I didn't say that shit to them.
Yeah, I'm asking the community, whatever, our audience. You guys, I was quiet for like 15-20 minutes. You saw what the arguments were. They were against you. Clearly, however you
against the audience,
however you want to frame it, that's up to them. Like, I don't care what adjectives you want to use. Fair enough. But all I'm saying is, go ahead.
So you think the culture is this? It's not this entity where it could be multiple different things, right? Like someone could be in the culture, like me. Guess what, Dave? We're also part of the culture and not engage in that shit. Do you agree?
When you talk about the culture, you're talking about.
I'm talking about MK11 right now, like the scene, like everything, just what makes up the game. When you talk about it, read about what people say.
If I give you
you know what culture means?
Yes, I teach it.
Okay, so why do I have to explain it?
You don't. The point is this: I think even if I give you the premise, it's NRS's job to design a game. Remember, they're the ones. Like I was saying, the verb is a noun, guys. Developer, to develop something, right? They're the ones who are developing the game. Why you would switch the fault on the community is just beyond me.
Who switched the fault on the community?
Job to
Dave, look, there's a big disconnect here. Dave, let me ask you this again so we can all be clear. I brought up the 3 issues currently right now that the culture has about the game. I told you what it is. You disapprove them, disagree them. So if you were NRS at that moment, if you were the developer, you would have failed this community. You do realize that, right? By not giving more combos.
Already, they made a game.
That's my point. So when we address these issues, and I tell you, hey Dave, guess what? People don't like the balance. They don't like the zoning. Walking back to lame shit. They want combos, and you say, "Oh, zoning. They need to shut the fuck up." Aren't you being worse than the developers right there?
I'm okay with a more offensive game. I have no problem.
I think saying shut the fuck up is the thing. I think the point thing is when people say, "So do you think it's okay for people to be able to zone?" Yes. I mean, it's.
Okay, but then Dave is saying, Tom, if you say yes, if you go against what they want, aren't you failing the community? Like right now, I don't understand what's going on.
Okay.
This doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Hold on, but people that want to zone that say, "Do you think it's okay for people to rush me down?" Yes.
Yeah, I'm again. As I said, I am as much of to support a zoning player as much as I am of you having more. You
should be able to do anything if you want to trap. You want to grapple. You want to run. You want to zone. You want to rush down. It should all be in the game.
Tom, and even if people want.
So what you're saying is, if Cetrion wants to be Cetrion, she can. If Shiva wants to stomp, she can. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
Yes, but the problem is,
even though that people don't like the game, the culture's against that shit.
Her moves without getting flawless blocked every strength. Don't say, "Whoa, she might be a little."
Scarlett's a bad talking point because the culture addressed her in the beta.
People used to say Shao Kahn. Even someone on my stream today say Shao Kahn is 1 buff away from being broken.
Yeah, I hear that a lot too. Actually,
why?
I don't know. This is why I said earlier, I ask people individually. I don't put them under this umbrella and say they all say combos of shit. I just collect the data of what is most said. I'm not saying every person in this MKLM community culture says zoning is broken, because obviously I don't think zoning is broken. Obviously Dave doesn't, right? I'm just using the most requested top. Like, why can't we talk about the most requested shit? Like, for example, the most hated character from the culture is Shiva, is it not? Like, how is this like
I would
attacking
even-
them?
Again,
This is
my,
ridiculous.
My results are different. I think that what people actually hate the most about the game is the meta. And then later, obviously, she was definitely one of the most hated that I have.
But balance is the number one thing, though.
Yeah, but balance.
Because every day you hear about balance nonstop more
Yeah,
than
and
meta.
again, the balance. Yeah, well, people complain about balance, not necessarily that that what people would actually.
No, they're mentioning specific
I
characters in their
understand.
posts.
They're also mentioning their characters being too weak. Have you ever considered about that?
Yeah, that's part of balance, Dave. That's
Yeah.
my point. Number one issue by far is balance.
I know. And if people are saying, okay, I want my characters to be strong, I have no issues with that. I think that's if people are saying, okay, Shao Kahn, RoboCop, I don't know, Scarlet, those type of characters, they want the characters to be stronger. Yes, guys, please speak out. Let us know what you want. Like I'm 100% okay with that. But what I don't want is blame you for some of the stuff that they didn't get right or they.
So let me get this straight.
This is like the most pointless conversation I've
Dave.
ever seen in my life. Like nothing is being done. Nothing's being.
Dave, when you ask,
What is this leading to?
when you ask people to stop crying about zoning, are you anti-community? Is that an argument?
Yeah,
against
you're anti-community
against the
because it literally goes against what you're saying right now. You're painting yourself as this community guy, but then you're going against what they want.
No, because again,
Dave, if the mass do not
Wait,
like zoning,
just-
why are you supporting that? You're going against the
if you
community.
stopped interrupting me, I would answer your question. Again, I support zoning. If people don't like it, that's too bad. But again, I also support the guy.
Dave, wait, that's not.
Then you're going against the community. You
Wait.
can't do that. You're
I
worse than
always-
the
Wait, let me-
developers. What are you
let me
talking
finish
about?
this point. Yeah, I'm not asking what you think about zoning. I'm saying when you blow people up for not being able to handle zoning and crying about it, is that an argument against the community? Or are you asking
Some
them
people in the community, yes, definitely.
are you asking them to level up and be more mature in how they look at games?
Absolutely, yeah.
Right. So that's all I'm saying here is that we need to
No, that's
level
not
up
what
and
you're
be more
saying.
mature.
You literally use the words, and I encourage people to go back and see what you said. This mentality or this culture of the community about having the game play a certain way that they don't accept the balance.
Dave, be careful what you say trying about me because Tom and Zyphox had a lot of input on it too.
No, it's fair enough. Again, it's all recorded. If you want to. Besides, I'm trying to. One of the
The
things
culture of the community is 100%. Why do I have to put up with this when if I
Yeah,
ask enough, they'll just remove it?
It's the same culture, Dave. That's what you're not understanding. The same thing
I don't think Dave understands what
The
culture
same
means. That's
thing
why
that
it's very
gets-
confusing.
that you complain about with people being like anti-zoning or whatever, like it's no different.
But
It's
that
zero
I understand
difference.
your point. I understand your point. This is the difference between some people and me. I will still primarily hold the developers accountable as far as the following is concerned. They developed the game. It's their job to consider everybody's feedback, whether it's anti-zoning or pro.
They do that though. That's the point. They do
And-
that.
No, they don't, because
Crimson, they don't listen to the community at all whatsoever. Okay,
they haven't listened.
definitely not what
They
MK11
haven't
is. Then.
listened up. Otherwise, the game wouldn't be. As
Here's an
the
example.
most hated.
Crimson Shadow just said earlier, he said, the reason why Dave and Tom don't get a lot of the play styles they like in the game is because of the culture. People find that's cheap, whatever. They know why learn to fight against it when they can just cry and get it removed. Coincidentally, Dave, you always point out, long before Ultimate, there was a video about how the ice puddle is the most broken move in the history of Mortal Kombat and probably should never be considered for a game.
Based on misinformation.
But
based on
whether
misinformation.
the bottom line is whether it is or not, people don't want stuff like that in the game. NRS sees it, they say, "Oh my God, characters can't have this and this and this and this and this. This play style can't be in the game. You can't be trapping people and freezing their feet and then mixing them." And I mean, that's just what it is. That's the way the game is. And for the record, I don't want the mix part of it, but I mean, moves that do that, moves that zone, even mid. I would not be surprised to the next game. No more mid command grabs. That would not surprise me at all. I don't think
Razors. Razors was one of the weirdest moves in the game, and that got taken out. I mean, are we really surprised at this point? This is what people are asking for. If you're a developer and 80% of the community hates one thing, if you make the game for the 20% of top players that don't, you're failing as a developer in the eyes of the community. Like, everyone understands this. So,
You cannot have it both ways. You can't.
yeah, but it's not 100% or
The
zero.
people have
It's
hated
like,
the meta for a year. It hasn't gotten changed. Why isn't that changing if the community is so-called, the loud?
Dave,
you can,
here's the thing though. The meta is behind these other issues. You do get that, right? Meta's not the number one issue. Keep talking as if meta's the number one issue. It's everything I told you plus more.
But these issues
Meta
are part
isn't
of the
up
meta
there.
because it gives characters
Exactly.
their own meta.
People
I
are
understand. Look, it could be part of the meta, but not be the number one issue. Do you see everybody going like, "Yo, meta shit"? They're saying combos. zoning, playstyles, balance. All this other stuff is before the word meta's even
Okay,
uttered.
let's talk about combos. Did anybody ever in the community, has anybody ever in the community said, yeah, we want worse combos? Nobody has ever said that as far as I know. Like, oh my god, the combo.
Actually, in MKX, people always complain the corner carry. Why does every character bring it to the corner, knock you down? Like
That's
that was the corner carry's part of
Fair
combos.
enough. That's a corner issue. Not necessarily we don't want to have any. Let's put the.
No,
look at the
that's
combos.
dude. This game doesn't this game have smaller stages than MKX?
Again, if you wanna-
Didn't they make the stages
If
smaller?
you want to talk about people, I can literally find people who want everything. I can find somebody I'm sure who wants.
Dave, you're missing the point. You're
You are
completely
missing
You're just arguing to argue. You're missing the point completely.
Well, the corner carry.
This is not a community or developer thing. We're just discussing what's being.
Let me see his-
Like, for
let me
example,
see his-
whenever I talk about the culture of Smash, why do you think if I utter the word culture or community, it means I'm attacking?
Okay, let's just say
Can you
there's
stop
only
seeing
one,
it as
let's
that
say
way?
there's one patch. Would any of us be surprised if in this patch, rather than rebalance some stuff or give some characters some power, they just said, here's what we'll do. Cetrion's too much. We'll just take all our zoning away.
Take out some wake up options.
Take out
Take
our
out
zoning,
this.
right?
Nerf that. Like, of
Well,
course,
the
it's probably
issue-
gonna
Would we
happen.
be surprised? If
The
who
issue-
I wouldn't be surprised at
would
all.
be
The issue
surprised if
comes
they
out-
nerfed her zoning?
The issue comes
No,
up.
I would not be
because
surprised
of
at all.
Stuff like the statements that got made in this podcast, right? Where you have a character like Jackie. Jackie's leap is not a problem. I'm just gonna say it right now. It's not. As a fighting game mechanic, there's absolutely nothing wrong with the leap.
I agree.
The issue that people have with Jackie, what they should be saying is, look, let her have the leap and play her own way. But maybe when she lands, then she shouldn't do 40% unbreakable. Instead, they're like, yo, damage is fine, but just take away her leap so she has to be exactly like all the other characters. And
Yeah.
that is the problem. That mentality.
Or you could say, let her have this, but other characters should be able to do this on the other
People
side
saying
of the
that
spectrum.
there are no footsies in the game because of Jackie are exactly the problem that makes games more boring. So next game, there are no more leaps, there are no more teleports.
There won't be aerial characters at all.
Then what are we left with?
Yeah, but I feel like you could also,
MK11.
but you could also, Krim,
Basically-
you could also say, let Jackie Leap do this and that, but this character here should be able to do this. This character here should be able to do that. The problem is, Jackie's
but
leap is
Tom-
more overwhelming than it is because when other characters used to be able to do things like that, community says, no,
Yeah, they got 'em
no,
taken
you
away.
can't do this. No, you can't do that's annoying. So all the things that used to make it okay for a character like Jackie to have the leap are gone. Now the leap becomes mega powered, not because it actually is broken, but things that used to be in games like Mortal Kombat that allowed you to play one way or another that deal with something like that a little better are removed. So it's just the reason why these characters are so much omega powerful is because other tools that used to be in games like MK are not there. And that's because from one game to the next, the community said, we don't want this, we don't want this, we don't want this. And now that MK11 comes, the most requested thing is not changes, it's nerfs for Jackie, for Cetrion. Jackie, barrier. Cetrion, barrier. And then if they do that, then they'll say this game is unplayable because it's so boring. So
Well,
it's a
the truth-
catch-22.
The truth is that if people keep asking like to make the meta more exciting, and the ironic thing is, if you look at what makes the meta more exciting, it's all the things that people hate to play against.
Yeah, like crushing blows, the wake up system, all that shit, the fatal blows. Take all that out. What is the game gonna be?
Characters have to have dirt to be more exciting, and yet whenever they have dirt, people want the dirt taken out so they don't have to have the dirt.
What people are saying is they want their dirt. Remember why people used to? I used to have a sound clip. Remember in MKX? I used to be like, MKX is like two people arguing. I'm a mix. I'm a mix. No, I'm a mix. Hold up, your mix beats
Yeah,
my mix.
I remember that.
Your mix has to go. That's
True,
MK11.
true.
That's MK in general. I want to do this. I want to do this. Hold up, you're doing this beats me doing this. No. Get it out. Get it out. It was a bunch of people pointing fingers at everybody else saying, your shit has to go. No, your shit has to go. Your shit's annoying. No, your shit's annoying. Your shit breaks neutral. No,
You're
your
talking
shit
about
breaks
the history
neutral.
of fighting games. What else is new? It's always been the case. Why are we so focused on this? In Tekken, I'm sure Nee, you know what Nii complains about? That Akuma is in the game because he doesn't like it because he plays different. Whoop-de-doo! Who cares? Why are we so
Well, guess what?
focused on this?
Akuma probably sold millions. So who do you think the developer's gonna listen to? The fact that the DLC sold millions, or one top player?
Wait, didn't they just nerf a character in Tekken that people were saying was unfairly nerfed because people thought the execution was too hard? I've seen
Yeah.
people complaining about this.
Yeah,
So
yeah. No, not
clearly
people, I
Tekken is
was.
Yeah, clearly Tekken is not exempt from this either. But in our community, the difference was we get a new game every 2 years. So if you don't like this game, you might complain enough so that the next game is completely different. And that's not something most communities can do.
Well, here's the thing. We're almost 2 hours in. I'm going to give Zyphox the last word because he's been quiet for a while. If he's not asleep already. Zyphox, are you there?
No, I'm here.
All right, you got the last word before we wrap it up. Go ahead. Since we don't have a guest and you're going to act as the guest, last word, please. Go ahead. On anything you want to mention,
Well,
but hopefully...
Zyphox, if you want to finish off the things you didn't like about MK11 earlier before you got cut off, and then we went into balance.
Oh
for an
yeah, I
hour.
did get kind of cut off, but I mean, that's really just the main issue. To be honest, the meta is kind of boring. Like how we said before, it's literally just kind of just end your turn, then my turn, and then it's nothing like in between that like you normally do to fill the time. Like in between, like getting to the point. You know how there was like almost a lot of time before you get to the point where someone has to make a guess in your attack, right? Because it's almost like you're doing something guaranteed into something guaranteed into something guaranteed. That like, okay, you can at any point stop doing something guaranteed to mix it up, but or you can just finish it to the end, you know. Anyways, nothing like that exists in MK11. I kind of like that type of stuff, but I digress. I think we should stop really focusing whether or not characters or whatever's to blame about like how the current state of the meta is and how the current state of the game is. You know, I think
The whole blame thing is completely pointless.
I think we should really just get back to like enjoying overcoming challenges. I think we have so much information at our disposal that we don't use because we're stubborn, arrogant. We don't want to get better because we want to have that excuse just in case we're not that good. You know, it's like a human thing. I don't know what it is. Some people just have that in the back of their mind. They just want to have that justification sitting in the back, like, yeah, I'm not top because of this, and if for whatever reason something like this gets changed, I'll become top at any moment I really try. Don't worry, guys. I know because that's kind of what I went through, and I know a lot more people go through that than a lot of people think. And so, like, no.
Does anybody else want to talk about what they don't like about the game?
I think it's time to wrap it up. So I'm gonna wrap it up here. We're almost 2 hours in, and please let us know what you guys think in the comments. We will take it into account. Thank you so much for listening, and we were sorry about the delay of the podcast. And we'll see you on the next one. Bye, everybody.
And by the way, real quick, Zyphox, I'm going to take you up on that. Zyphox says it's about overcoming new challenge. So I challenge everyone and myself to play MK11 without falling asleep tonight. That's the challenge, boys.
Also, I have one other challenge. I challenge Tom, Brady, and Dave to play me Mortal Kombat X on stream next weekend.
You know what's so funny? You know what's so funny,
down, Tom?
Frank? You know what's so funny, Tom?
Wait, hold on. Tom, are you down to play MKX?
I don't care.
You got
All right, we'll play.
It's so funny that you mentioned that, Tom, about falling asleep playing this game, because I was literally playing that while I was saying what I had to say at the end, and I was beating the guy that I was losing to when I turned my brain off and started focusing on talking.
Bro, speaking of falling asleep, Zyphox, do you remember when we were playing one time and just 2 and you fell asleep? We were doing like raid marriage or something. And then I was like, bro, what happened? Where did you go? And you were like, oh my bad, I was snoozing out. I'm like, oh shit. Dude, that was hilarious. Dude, I forgot Raiden was in Injustice 2 until that moment.
Yeah, bro.
That's crazy. Raiden was so shit in that game.
All right, well, thanks for listening.
All right, am I ending the recording now? Or
Yeah, ended after the when I call it quits, it should have been right there. I don't know what the thing.
Okay, well, it's still recording right now.
Well, you need to cut it after I call it quits. I don't know what Tom's comment was about. That was completely unnecessary. But end it. I don't know why you would just add. That was just.
If Dave turned on MK11 right now, he'd be asleep in the next 5 minutes. Get out of here.
Tom, obviously, but why would you put? You know, we all know that. Everybody knows it.
That was a cheap shot, Tom.
Tom, why would you?
Tom is that guy when the bell rings and that guy gets the late hit in. That's Tom.
Yeah.
Tom, let me just get one freaking cheap shot, Tom. Like, why would you do that? It's completely unnecessary.
He said challenges, man. I mean,
Oh my
No, I'm
God.
saying like no. I'm talking again. It's just
all right, just cut the recording off, man.
just cut it after I said that. I don't know why Tom. Like Tom was unnecessary.
We should
It's
have
still
this
recording
as-
now. I don't know if I should cut it now or do you guys?
No,
Yeah,
I told
cut
you
it-
when to
cut it
cut it.
now.
Cut the recording.
Yes.
Cut it
Three.
after I called
Cut
it quits before Tom made that
Cut
comment.
it now.
How was I gonna
Leave
cut it
everything in.
after you ended when Tom instantly jumped in? I couldn't just cut him off during what he was saying. That would have looked
Well,
so bad.
no, I understand it, but when you actually,
I would have got flamed. People were like, "Wow, Rio cut it when Tom was talking."
no, I'm saying when you go
Like,
actually.
just cut it. Just cut it now. Just cut it.
Just
turn
leave
the
everything
recording
that
off.
up until right now in and just leave it as
No,
bloopers. Trust
no,
me,
you will-
guys.
No, trust me. You
All
gotta
right.
cut it.
Well,
You will cut it after I call it
Oh
quits.
my
because I don't.
gosh.
Tom, what was
Dave, do you want to take a shot too? Because I'm still recording right now. This is awful.
no reason to?
This is
Dude,
bloopers.
stop
I don't
recording.
understand.
What are you doing? Stop recording already and cut it.
Good-
cut the podcast.
This is actually this is gold.
goodbye,
This is literal
everybody.
gold.
It's been
If
fun.
you made it
Peace
this
out,
far into the
everybody.
podcast, guys, really thank you.
Yeah, we
It's
appreciate it,
awesome.
dude. You guys are awesome. The people that get to listen to this, you guys are awesome.
Bye.